Back to another day, another week, another episode of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about why owning nothing is so expensive. It's a video from Business Insider talking about subscription models, so we're going to talk about that. It came out about 2 weeks ago. We're going to talk about PlayStation. Sony exceeds $2 billion in revenue from multiple platform game releases on Xbox and PC. We're also going to talk about Xbox, exclusive new details on the Xbox next console, and Microsoft's most ambitious gaming plans ever. We're also going to watch a video from Helldivers 2, Return of the Cyborgs Deep Dive, which is about 3 minutes long. And then if we have time, we're going to talk about, it's called Say No to Next Gen. Say No to Next Gen, and whatever else pops up. We do have State of Play was announced earlier today, or about a half hour ago or so. So we're going to talk about that and Helldivers first, and then we'll get into the main stories. What's going on, chat? Let me see who's all here. What's going on, Jason? What's going on, Travis? Eclipse, Aku, Altern. Sarge, good morning. Who am I missing? Ward, what's going on? Broick, good morning. Jesse Mack, what's going on? All right, let's get to first story, which is State of Play announced for this week will feature over an hour of third-party, indie, and first-party game updates. Okay, so PlayStation has announced that it will host a State of Play. Excuse me one second. PlayStation has announced that it will also host a State of Play live stream this week featuring news, gameplay updates, and announcements from studios around the world. More specifically, the State of Play airs on Thursday, February 12th at 2 p.m. Pacific, which is 5 p.m. Eastern. So we won't be covering it live, but we will be covering it on GXG at 8 p.m. And it will spotlight more than 60 minutes of third-party indie for the first-party games. I feel like I'm losing my voice, guys. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on. I was fine, and now my voice is gone. The State of Play will also stream on PlayStation, various YouTube and Twitch channels, as for what expected that anybody's guess on first-party front. PlayStation's House Marquee Studios is launching Soros is in April. After delay from the original March date, Insomniac Games is releasing Marvel's Wolverine, which is set to the same universe as the studio's Spider-Man games. And sometime this year, also as well, there's also a good chance that we'll see both of these games on Thursday. On the third-party front, nobody would be surprised to see more Resident Evil Requiem, which has also been closely aligned with PlayStation on the marketing and giving Capcom history, which is prior Resident Evil games, and these chances to get the Requiem demo. Both Biohazard and Village received demos prior to launch. Capcom also could appear with another look at the Pragmatica before its April release, and it's also expecting to see various other third-party indie games as well. So we'll keep an eye on that, and then we'll talk about that on Thursday night. Man, maybe I'm getting sick. I don't know. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is Helldivers. Helldivers just posted this about an hour ago.
Troubling reports are incoming from Cyberstan. Something we have long feared, dear Helldivers.
The reports are true. This disgusting amalgamation of man and machine.
Look pretty cool.
Known as the cyborgs are back. Fueled by nothing but rage and socialism, the cyborgs will stop at nothing until they see our way of life destroyed. First, we have the agitators. They are the field commander of the Automaton Legion. Equipped with heavy armor, they are a disgusting and inexorable tide across the battlefield, with the ability to take direct command over their automaton underlings. The radicals represent 100 years of contempt for democracy. Forgoing heavy armor, they use their cybernetics and bioenhancements to push their bodies to the brink. Armed with heavy shotguns and techno martial arts, their job is simple. Get close and personal with the divers and make their day a living hell. Finally, we have the voice of Cyberstan, the Vox engine. Dual heavy laser cam.
Bro, this thing's gonna be a nightmare to face right here.
A rocket array and heavy Gatling lasers for flanking defense. Patrolling across the battlefield, they blare out delusional propaganda of cyborg superiority.
It looks like the weak spot is underneath, right? Is it underneath or is it behind and underneath?
And because of this, it is of utmost importance that we put an end to this metal menace once and for all.
We have a historic chance to reclaim this planet from the grasp of our enemy. Should we fail? No.
Democracy for all!
Look at me, Helldiver. Look at me. Failure is not an option.
Altern says, yeah, I'll stay with the bugs, thanks.
You must face them. You must face them, and you must fight them. You must fight them with the strength in your heart, in your arm, in your leg, in your other leg, and in your last arm. You must...
So they're really pushing those melee weapons now, huh? They really want you to get up close and personal.
Fight them with your bullets. You must fight them with your bombs. We cannot let the cyborgs hole up on Cyberstan. We cannot let them hide from the blinding light of freedom.
We stand at the precipice of Cyberstan. They threaten our way of life. Liberate us from this machinery of oppression.
Oh, it comes out tomorrow. Oh, look at that. That'll be interesting to see what happens there. It's almost the 2-year anniversary, right? When did Helldivers officially release? God, has it been 2 years already? February 8th. Yeah, it's been 2 years. It's been 2 years. Jesus. That's crazy. February 8th, 2024. Time flies when you're having fun. All right, so there you go. That looks good. That looks good. It looks like it's going to be a hellstorm, and we only play on like level 6. I haven't really gone much up to 7. 7, we played the bugs. I played 10 with the bugs, which was just horrible. I played on the PC back in the day, but I usually stick around like 6. And I'm just looking at those characters. My God. Hopefully they've added new missions and stuff. And I think they would have, right? But in the last, I want to say the last month or so, Helldivers has added, they added the kill zone. They've added the Python one. They've added like 4 war bonds in the last like 2 months, 2.5 months. So they've really been pushing stuff out. And now the new bad guys. Well, new bad guys within a faction. No, it's not a new faction. It's a new bad guy faction within the faction. So that looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. We'll probably jump back into that as well. All right. So we go from that. Let's start talking. Since we're going to talk about Helldivers, let's talk about PlayStation. I have a stiff neck, by the way, guys. So I can't, if you see me, like, I'm in pain right now. I can't move. For whatever reason, I woke up and I have a stiff neck. Sony exceeds $2 billion in revenue from multi-platform game releases on Xbox and PC. I mean, I would assume that because you made $2 billion, more of this is going to happen, right? At least for PC and for Sony and PC, right? For PlayStation and PC. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Sony exceeds $2 billion in revenue from multi-platform game releases on Xbox and PC. PlayStation is making a lot of money on the platforms not named PlayStation. Unless you've been stuck in a Fallout bunker for the last few years, you might have noticed that Microsoft and Sony have been putting their first-party games on platforms other than their own. While Microsoft is definitely the leader when it comes to putting their own content on places that are also other than Xbox, and Sony has also been doing quite a lot of work too. It says, to make this point, Derek Strickland from Tweaktown posted on X, Sony has made $2.37 billion from selling first-party games and content on PC and Xbox. Okay. He says, from this article, a bit ago, Sony has reclassified how it records earnings in the PlayStation division, adding in another segment called Other Software. As per Sony, an Other Software segment is defined as revenue from sales from first-party titles, including add-on content and platform other than PlayStation consoles. This source also comes from Sony's fiscal year of 2025 quarter 3 earnings report. In there, they report the earnings that also the segment have reached a staggering $2.37 billion. That's right. Sony has made billions of bringing games to Steam and also Xbox alike. That's a lot of moolah, money that will also make Sony think twice before releasing their games on other platforms. It says also take, for example, the recent announcement of Horizon Hunter's Gathering, which is coming on both PlayStation 5 and Windows PC. Sony is looking at this as a perfect opportunity to gather some easy cash for coffers. While it also won't be the first time Sony is simultaneously releasing a game in multi-platform, I'm willing to bet that it will also begin to see more games coming to multi-platforms. Of course. I mean, why wouldn't you? Right? It makes no sense, right? When you break it down as a business, not a fanboy, right? If you're a fanboy, you're mad about this. And I don't know why you would be, but you're mad about this. But for gamers and for businesses, right? The business is like, wait a minute, we're just making this game and it's selling. Regardless on, like, Sony has, 84 million consoles out there about shipped, not sold. But 84 million, they still own, 50, that article about 2 weeks ago, 56 million people still own a PlayStation 4 that haven't moved over to a PlayStation 5 yet. And you look at their first-party titles, and they're selling 3-4 million copies. Astrobot, Ratchet and Clank when it first came out, Yote, right? They're all under 4 million. Not saying they're not making money. What I'm saying is that they could be making more money because their own player base, their own people that own the system, is not buying the games, right? They're just not. When you have 84 million consoles out there for PlayStation 5 and you're only selling 2.5 to 3 to 4 million copies of your first-party title games, you're like, well, what's going on here, right? So you have to push it out to the PC because you can make an additional 2-3 million there, right? At least you're getting 7 million copies sold, 10 million copies sold. Look at Helldivers. If Helldivers only sold on PlayStation, okay, it would get 6 million, 8 million copies. But because you put it on PC, not even including Xbox, right? Because it only sold like another 2 million there. What PC sold 12 to 13 million copies, right? They sold 20 million copies total. But if they only sold it on PlayStation, it'd be a completely different story. Sure, it'd be like, yeah, it's very successful as PlayStation title. But now that you put it on PC, it's a much bigger game. $20 million is ridiculous. Or 20 million copies, I should say. It says, heck, look at the number played at MLB The Show when the game simultaneously released on Game Pass with massive influx of players. Microtransactions were going off, hot off the racks. Although, one of my best friends is spending hundreds every year on the game and its packs. Okay, it says, while we've written in the past that Sony is crazy for not launching their games on PC day and date, it's also looking to be generated more income on PC releases. It's not more than it's not more on Xbox. Why wouldn't they? At this point, they can pick and choose which games they bring to Xbox and PC while also maintaining a veteran of exclusivity, since Xbox has given entirely up on that idea. The only hitch is that these plans have also been Sony's recent cancellations of games as service games. Following a failure of Concord, Sony has pulled the plug on multiple games in development before they also met similar fates. These are services games that also Sony most likely allowed on other platforms. Well, the Gathering one, Horizon Gathering, is a live service game. That's going to be day and date on PC and PlayStation. Obviously, it's not coming to Xbox. And I totally understand why Sony's keeping their games on their platform and not the other console, right? But it really doesn't matter, right? Going to PC is now going to Xbox as well. So once the other Xbox comes out and it is a PC. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Obviously, what do you think about this? Do you think it's a good, no-brainer idea, right? If you're Sony, that you want to put your games out at least on PC day and date, because that's just more money in your pocket, and then you can take that money and then move it over to other games that you want to make. Again, these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Sarge says you made more money on releasing on multi-platform. No shit. Travis says I'm a Sony fanboy and I'm not mad about it. Well, that changed, didn't it? We can go back a while ago, Travis, and you were mad about stuff like that. Jack says I definitely haven't bought Ghost of Yote yet. Waiting for a good sale on it. Sarge says just remember, bro, doesn't really count as multiplat. That's right. Yeah, and multiplat didn't exist until just a couple years ago, Sarge. Water Bear, what's going on, Water? Says Wolverine PC day and date. Let's go. Let's see. Jesse Mack says all gaming industry should just do is just more games on all platforms day one. Why not? The only reason, as of where we stand today, right, Jesse, is that they still think the old mentality of, if I have this console, they buy this console because of this game. And instead of, right, because they used to lose money on the consoles and they used to sell the software to get you in on that platform. But now they're making money on those platforms, but now really people don't give a shit about getting the next platform. Even their own player base. And again, this is not just this goes for the Xbox as well. We just don't know the numbers. Okay. But Sony's, because they've said this, right? Half of the population that owned a PlayStation 4 has not moved over to a PlayStation 5. There's no reason to buy a PlayStation 5. Now, they're going to make games that only work on PlayStation 5, and people will be like, nah, I'm good. I'll wait, because the prices are extraordinarily high. So what's happened here, at least in my opinion, is because they still believe that you have to buy this console to play these games, but because the prices have gone up in the consoles, people are not going to buy the new consoles. So what they're going to do is they're going to go buy a PC. Because if I'm going to pay $700, $800 for a console now, going to the next gen, maybe $1,000, then they might as well save up an extra couple, $100, $200, $300, get a PC that can play games, and they can play all of them across the board. So what's going to happen, you're going to see a big turn, at least again, in my opinion, that the console makers are going to have to throw all their games on PC day and date because they're not going to be making as much money. It's already happening now. Krabsy says, making games for one platform increases quality, speeds up development, and both reduce costs. But they have to make it for PC before they make it for the console. They're making all games on PCs. So take out the middleman. I mean, they make it, then make it for the actual console. Eclipse says, man, that was the last statement they said. 90 million shipped and only 3.5 million bought the new Ghost. I don't think they would like those numbers. No, it doesn't make sense to me, right? You have to, obviously, let me take that back for a second, Eclipse. Yote made money, right? Yote made money because supposedly it only cost $60 million, right? The first Yoshimo cost, I think, $40 million. This one cost $60 million. So they really only need to sell like 1.2 million copies. With marketing and stuff, let's just call it 100 mil, right? They made money for Yote. It's profitable. But as a company, you have to look at it and go, we have almost 90 million people own the console, and yet only 3.5 to 4 million people bought the game. Yet you look at Nintendo, and their turnover rate for their first-party games, they're selling like 30, 40 million. That's what they would love to have. Just Enough says, except Nintendo, they won't budge. Oh, they will. They just don't have to now. They're very profitable because of all the software sales they do for their games. Krebsy says, if releasing everywhere was great, why does Disney, HBO, Netflix, etc. not put their products everywhere? Well, they do actually. They just put the Muppet Show on ABC and Disney Plus because it's not doing very well there, right? Other companies put them on their platform, and then they also put it on like Netflix. Like you can actually go look at something like right now, like look up a movie and then see where it's streaming from. It'll show you. You can rent it from YouTube. You can rent it from Amazon. You can watch it on HBO. It's in multiple places. Jason says, I still like exclusives in the industry. This competition is better than it was better when that was the case. Sure, but times change, and you have to adapt to the times. Roic says the console makers have forgotten that they also you should make money with the games and not the console. So when you drastically increase the cost of them, people are just going to go on PC, right? 100%. Kyle says they're also able to use a ton of assets from Tsushima, too, I bet. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it still cost them 20% more. It cost them $60 million, supposedly. What's going on, Ron? Let me see. Kyle says they're making Rock and Roller Coaster to the Muppets soon. Makes sense. They also want to make a show to make them more relative. Well, they had a whole land. They had a whole land of the Muppets, and they never did anything with them. I think they're just moving them over to Rock and Roller Coaster because they lost a license to Aerosmith. I'll be honest with you. I think that's why they're putting the Muppets there. What's going on, Argus? I'm pretty sure that's why they moved the Muppets over to Rock and Roller Coaster. Pretty sure. All right, next one. Exclusive new details of the Xbox Next Gen console and Microsoft's most ambitious gaming plans ever. Can't wait to hear these. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. So, exclusive new details on Xbox Next Gen consoles and the Microsoft most ambitious gaming plans ever. From AMD claims the 2027 Xbox, the idea of Xbox Gen 10 consoles. Let's shift through some fresh details. Okay. It says the next gen Xbox is rolling into view, and we have some fresh hints about the direction it's heading in. He says, I reported last year the next gen Xbox is essentially going to be Windows 11 gaming PC. Okay, capability to run existing Xbox One, Xbox Series X, S, and a legacy backwards compatibility for Xbox games. The new box will also be capable of running practically anything Windows can throw at it. In a sense, although by default, it will have a TV-first console-like interface. For an idea of how the Gen 10 Xbox will function, you can also look at the current Xbox Ally. The Xbox Ally platform from Asus is also a hint as a very early version of the next-gen Xbox console format or formula. The Xbox interface will sit on top of the Windows, disabled unnecessary process to create gaming-first environment. You'll be able to exit out of the full Windows. You can also exit out of Linux onto the Steam Deck and run practically any program accessory that you can think of. Turn your next Xbox or your next gen Xbox into a streaming PC, coding station, music production studio, or whatever else. The difference here is the Gen 10 Xbox PC will also run on all your current Xbox games in addition to games from Windows 11 PC stores like Steam. A lot of the finer points are shrouded in mystery. The powerful one will also, how powerful will this thing be, and what kind of price will it have when it launches? Here's what we know so far. Okay, it says last summer, Xbox President Sarah Bond reiterated commitment to the first-party Xbox hardware after Asus made Xbox Ally had people wondering if Xbox would simply license out the brand. Bond noted that they also entered into multi-year partnership with long-term collaborator AMD for the next-gen Xbox. They also retained backwards compatibility with all current Xbox console games. See, now, what Xbox is doing, okay, now obviously PlayStation does this as well, but Xbox doesn't care if you're on Xbox One, right? If you own an Xbox 360, if you own an Xbox One, if you own an Xbox, whatever, all the games that you play on those things will move with you. I have to admit, that's a pretty big deal, because if you're a person that's like, oh, I don't want to lose all my old stuff, well, now you can play all your old things. Again, that's here or there, though, because you don't know how much stuff, because they say you can play your games, but how many games? Is it all the games? Is it just a certain, profile of games? Development of Microsoft next-gen Xbox featuring AMD semiconductor SoC is progressing well to support the launch in 2027. It says AMD's internal code name for Xbox SoC is Magnus. Our sources confirm, although, that it's not Microsoft's code name for actual device itself. As also been reporting for a while that Microsoft's landing strip for the next-gen Xbox is indeed 2027. Although I'm told that Microsoft Insider were a little taken off guard by Lisa Su's comments of the Gen 10 Xbox timeline. Microsoft hasn't fully internally committed to a hard 2027 launch window for the next-gen Xbox platform, since so much of it hinges on improvements of Windows 11 and other factors. Microsoft Windows and Xbox team are collaborating harder than ever to get the OS into shape for the polished consoles-like experience on Xbox. Let me tell you something. This is probably going to be the worst thing about the next Xbox, is the goddamn Windows 11 on there. 1,000%. Right? What's going on, Cracker? Thus, they're also forcing themselves to adhere a specific hard cutoff point. You can think of 2027 as the best case scenario, but also having polished experience is north of star for Xbox. Okay. He says, what's to expect from the next-gen Xbox cost? There are a ton of rumors flying around for potential price points for the next-gen Xbox, but the truth is Microsoft itself doesn't even know how much it would be the next-gen Xbox will be just yet. Well, no shit, because they don't know about what the graphic cards and what the processors and all this other stuff is going on. If there's the same reason for Valve has yet to announce the Steam Machine price, and also why Asus is waiting until the very last minute to announce the Xbox Ally price, global tariffs, again with the global tariffs, component costs, geopoliticals, and also supply issues have price heavily in flux right now. With RAM costs spiraling out of the U.S., tariffs also taxing pushes up consumer prices. Price seems to be a hotter topic than ever. TV manufacturers are abandoning 8K resolution for the next gen. Well, no crap, right? Why would you as a customer buy an 8K television when they don't make 8K actual stuff to put on the television? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? I got trained on 4K back in 2006. They didn't start making 4K actual, content for the televisions until about, 8 years later. I think the first one that came out that was actually 4K capable was The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Okay. Other than that, there was no 4K content out there. So, of course, TV manufacturers are banning 8K because they're like, no one's buying 8K televisions. Well, yeah. Why would I buy an 8K television if there's no actual content to put on the 8K television? So dumb. So they're like, oh, we're going to abandon it. No one's buying it. Duh. TV owns the price of Nintendo recently warned investors that they're also considering a price increase of the Switch 2 platform. So it's no surprise that one of the questions I'm asking most often pertains to the Xbox price. Did you guys see that thing I posted from Wario64 off of Twitter? Sam's Club had $124 off. It was a clearance price of the Nintendo Switches. People keep telling me that Nintendo's selling better than ever, but yet there's companies that are lowering the cost because they can't get rid of them, and they're trying to get rid of the bundles. They don't want to sell the Mario bundles anymore because they're losing money on that. Okay, and they have to raise the price, right? So they're trying to get rid of them as fast as possible. But I thought they were selling so many copies, but yet I can go to any store right now and pick up a Nintendo Switch 2. Nobody's sold out, right? Nobody's sold out, but yet they're selling so well. But at the same time, they're selling for cheap. $124 bundle. It's $550. You're getting it for I think it was like $397. All right. It does sound, though, as the next-gen Xbox is pushing for more premium experience from its first-party offering, but it doesn't mean that Xbox is suddenly becoming inaccessible for those who can't justify the spend. Indeed, I'm told that Microsoft expects the Gen 9 Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5 to have a longer tail, usual results as a broadening hardware endpoint ecosystem. It's only been recent that the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles have stopped seeing a full complement of major AAA games, which also many serve games still maintain on those older systems. So even if the next-gen Xbox comes in around $1,000 that some expect, no, good luck. I'm not buying that. But then again, I'm not getting the next Xbox or the next PlayStation because what they've done this generation of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S are very disappointing, right? Up to 120 frames, right? 4K, up to, right? That's what they said on the box. They changed the boxes now because obviously it didn't hit those things. Yes. Are there 4K? Yes. Are there 120 frames per second games? Yes. But you had to wait quite a bit, and not when it launched. It says that'll continue to be a good chunk of the time, even though after the next-gen Xbox launches. On that point, it says I'm also told that Microsoft is also working on OEMs such as Asus and like to build a variety of options for the next-gen Xbox gamers across a range of price points, like the two Xbox Ally models. Despite rumors of the contrary, I'm also told that Microsoft is also still wants to make first-party Xbox handheld eventually, so its traditional next-gen Xbox console is the focus for now. Xbox first-party console will also be baseline, quintessential Xbox experience. It'll also be more expensive, even more super premium Xbox consoles from Microsoft Windows partners, as well as slimmed down, more affordable options on top, except for a smorgasbord of innovations coming years in front of a variety of companies. Xbox's most ambitious hardware platform yet. Is it? The Gen 10 Xbox platform is undoubtedly the Microsoft's most ambitious gaming effort in history. Having that the Windows to Xbox team collaborates so closely has a huge potential for gamers. The big word there, the huge part is the big word of potential, right? Potential is the big word there, potential for gamers, but also represents a similar huge challenge. Since I wrote this a week about how the issues of Windows have been also hitting with the Xbox Ally PC gaming handheld. It's not fun when it happens, but it's also giving Microsoft valuable data on how Windows behaves when it's treated in a more console-embedded way. Microsoft's roadmap for Xbox Ally is ambitious. It's also some of the major improvements. Also, the new features will also coming in the coming weeks. Microsoft is currently testing a new NPU-powered highlights reel featured on Xbox Ally X, which also takes your gameplay clips and automatically generates a shareable video for your best gameplay moments. This feature is slated to drop in March of 2026. All being well, this is also new types of features that land well on the Xbox Ally X. They'll find their way into the next-gen Xbox too. Microsoft is building a hardware ecosystem that revolves around the Xbox Everywhere identity. We could also start to see new accessories that dovetail into the ecosystem even before the next Xbox launches after this year. Xbox also aims to grow the entire industry all up with a view it means breaking down arbitrary barriers, promoting cross-play, multiplayer, cross-platform saves, and cross-platform purchases. If Xbox Play Anywhere program is designed to facilitate, it'll also be why Microsoft is also bringing its games more aggressively to Steam, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch as well. Microsoft has also been working to open up the Xbox platform developers, making it easier to submit and polish new games. We could also hear where more updates on the front of GDC in 2026. So for consumers of the next Xbox platform, not only lets you choose the hardware experience that you want, but also the storefront that you want to use. Epic recently has told us they're ready to bring its own Epic Game Store to the next Xbox, and Steam is a clear shoe-in. Oh, see, Epic would like to do that, huh? Well, Epic's doing that because if Microsoft's putting Steam on there, Epic's like, well, we need to be there as well. But the question is, why would I want... What's going on, Roadkill? Why would I want... See, this is where I get confused now. Epic provides almost all the same games everywhere else that you can get, right? So if it's not on Epic, right, it's on Steam. But it's also, if it's on Epic, it's also on Xbox. It's also on PlayStation. It's also, right? So if Epic is on Xbox, So is Epic not going to launch their games on Xbox, but they're only going to launch it through their Epic launcher? Do you know what I mean? It starts to get really confusing, because now if I have Steam on my Xbox and my Xbox games are sold on Xbox, but they're also sold in Steam, why would I buy it off the Microsoft store when I can play it on my Steam? I guess the only difference would be Play Anywhere. To do the Play Anywhere, you have to buy it off of Microsoft, right? That would be the big thing. I gotta believe that's the thing. So Xbox likely won't expect the kinds of volumes it sees in previous generations with the first-party offerings, but it does need to. You can also think of the next-gen Xbox similar to how the Xbox handles Surface, a curated boutique of experience in a wider Xbox hardware ecosystem. The software is the platform, and the software is the goal. But that isn't to say that Microsoft is abandoning its own hand on the hardware ecosystem. In fact, it's expanding arguably more aggressively than ever. We've already seen the Asus Xbox Ally. We've also seen more of the types of partnerships in the future, complete with the custom Xbox console capable of designed with AMD and Magnus. It says opening up the Xbox OEM is the wider Windows ecosystem should help Xbox and its partners deliver more curated, tailor-made experiences for specific market across different types of users from factors of price points. Meeting the players where they are is now the firm's primary aim, both in terms of software and also the terms of also the case scenarios. In the future, you can also expect a variety of Xbox devices, all shapes and sizes, from an array of traditional Microsoft OEM and PC partners. The fundamental vision of the original Xbox revolved around bringing Windows to the living room. In a way, we've seen come full circle. Microsoft's most ambitious hardware plan since inception of the Windows itself, but also for Xbox, probably the most risky. So there you go. I mean, everyone says they're going to abandon hardware, but yet they're saying they're doubling and tripling down on hardware. Not only are they making the next Xbox, but they're making a smaller box. They're making the Magnus. They're making another handheld, their own standalone handheld. So it's very interesting to see what one person says and what the company says. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Let me scroll back up because I can't see all the stuff on this program for some reason. Ron says the price of the next Xbox is going over $1,000. I don't think casual gamers will buy it. Yeah, no, that goes for everything. I think right now, even at the $700, there's less people buying PlayStations and Xboxes. It's just too much. Argus says you can also pirate digitally anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's digitally take your games away. Players can even make their own servers if they want to. Yeah. But then lawsuits and stuff get in the way. If it's a small percentage, nothing happens, Argus. But if like a large population's doing that, then they'll do something about it. Argus also says if you live in the state where property taxes, the house will never be yours anyway, no matter how much you pay for it. If you pay it completely off, don't pay the property tax. It'll take your home. Right, that's how a lot of people take other people's homes away from them. Aaron says, don't act like pirating is good. Just because some loser pirate games doesn't mean pirating is okay, you know? Well, no, I kind of disagree with you, Aaron. Not that I'm a big component of pirating games, but if you buy a game and you don't own it, then pirating a game is not stealing. Right? If I buy a game and don't own it, then pirating a game is that I'm not stealing. Let's see. Waterbear says just enough is not really a reason, though. Steam machine, being able to play my PC games on my living room without moving my rig. Now, that's the reason. Yeah, convenience. Crowd says, if PlayStation Pro goes down to $650 again this year, I'll consider it. PS5 says, Jason, Take-Two had an earnings call and give the console numbers of GTA 6 will be on. Xbox has 46, 52 million series, X's and X's. That's last week. Your numbers are old. Oh, I didn't see what you guys said. What is the numbers? PS5? Let me read that again because I just scrolled past. Xbox sold 46 to 52 million. Oh, did they update those numbers? Jesse says make money 30 if Stream or Steam and Epic Games apps on new Xbox. No, I get that. What I'm saying is, Jesse, if I'm a maker, right? If I'm a game maker, and I make a game, if I make a game, I'm a first party title for Xbox, but I'm putting my games on Steam, right? Day and date, Xbox goes on Steam. It goes on multiple platforms now. If I have the Xbox, the new Xbox, and on the new Xbox, I have the Epic Store, I have the Steam Store, I have the Microsoft Store, right? If I buy it on Steam, I can play it on my new Xbox, right? But if I buy it on Xbox, I can play it anywhere. But I think I would rather buy it on Steam because they're more protective than what Xbox has. It's like this blurred line now because now you have stores within stores. Krebsy says, yes, 30. I asked those questions months ago and got told they will get cut. Where does Xbox get a cut of things? Like Expedition 33 sold on Steam. Yeah, I don't understand how that works, Krebsy. I'll be honest. I don't understand how that works. Because if I buy it off of Steam, right, they would get a price cut off of Steam. But the Steam is on Xbox. So does now Xbox, like, because they're putting Steam over here and I buy it on Steam, is it giving a cut to Xbox? I'm buying it on the Steam on the Xbox, right? It gets very confusing here. Because if I'm buying it through Steam through the Xbox, does Xbox get a cut? Now, Xbox might get, I don't even know how that would work. Steam gets a cut of Xbox games if you buy Xbox games through Steam, but you're buying it through the Steam on the Xbox. It's like, who's on first? What's on second? I'm not sure how that would fucking work. Here, this is the number I go with. Ready? This is the number I go with. Right now, PlayStation 5 is at 92.2 million. That's the number, right? Xbox Series X and S is still at 28.3. They haven't updated this, right? Now, they don't put Game Pass on here, and there's like 35 million people on Game Pass, which is more than the actual Xbox itself, because there's people on Xbox, there's people on television sets, there's people on Roku's, there's people on whatever. Right? Because the Nintendo Switch 2 is down here, and they're at 17.37. That's the number I go to. Until they update this is the numbers that we have. So PlayStation's at 92, and they haven't updated the Xbox numbers yet, because I don't think it's official yet. People are making up random numbers. Well, I'm not making up random numbers. I look at this list right here. because they haven't sold past that number. This is why it hasn't been updated. I'm not arguing with you. I'm trying to stop the argument for happening in chat. This is the numbers, right? Because Krebsy just said 92. Well, there it is. The 92.2 million. Ray says, bring back the $200 console sales. Well, there's going to be a definite collapse because when the next system come out and they're $1,000 and a small portion buys them, 2 million, 3 million people, they're going to be like, holy shit, what have we done? Right? But then again, it's make a problem, sell the solution. See, Xbox is okay putting $1,000 out there because they want you to get the $30 subscription model. That's the business model. The business model is not selling hardware. If you want to buy the hardware, cool. But the business model is selling you a subscription, which goes on to our next topic. This is from Business Insider. It says, why owning nothing is so expensive. This is talking about subscription models. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. All the links are in the description down below. So want to check this video out yourself without me pausing and stopping, I suggest you go over there. Otherwise, I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. Then we get your thoughts and opinions as we go through as well.
Costs $160, but HP would probably prefer it if you paid $8 a month to
$160 to buy the printer. But if you pay $8 a month
rent it instead. It might not sound like a lot until you realize the subscription locks you into a
See, this is actually a great example here, right? Printers used to make money selling printers. That's what they sold. They sold printers. But now they rent the printer to you, right? And you pay a monthly fee. And you only can do a certain amount of pages of printing. And they used to have the subscription model of the ink. Well, now they got rid of the ink subscription model. And now they're just subscribing the pages that you print.
2-year commitment. After 2 years, you'll have spent $192. 20% more than it would have cost to buy the printer.
Think about that for a second, guys. All right, think about that. You can go buy the printer, right? But if you buy the printer, then they're going to get you on the ink because you're not allowed to own or buy the ink. You have to rent the ink from them now. But now if you rent the printer from them for $8 a month, okay, $100 or $8 a month. Well, a lot of people, and this is just the way life is, people are like, well, I can't afford $100 right now. I get paid on Friday, but I need a printer today. $8 a month, I'll sign up for that. They get a printer like, oh my God, I got this printer for $8. And they put the printer on their thing and they start printing. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, how come I can't print any more pages? Right? And then they have it for 2 years and they paid $190 instead of paying $99.
Outright. The subscription includes ink, but HP artificially limits how many
20-page limit. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. 20-page limit? The hell are we doing?
pages you can print each month. Exceed that and it charges you more. But it gets worse. After those 2 years, you still won't own this.
You bought it, and after 2 years, you didn't pay for it. You don't own it still. Because read the fine print.
HP's terms of service explicitly state you do not own HP device and subscription cartridges provided, even if you complete the entire subscription term.
This is how we fall as a society. This is how we fall as a society. Everything is a subscription model. You know, one of the first subscription models back in the day was HBO. HBO and Showtime back in the day when there was free television sets. You know, like not free television, but free television cable networks. HBO came in and charged a fee.
Over the past 20 years, subscriptions have taken over our economy.
You can't buy a car today without, seems like a half dozen.
We reported this on GXG when it happened, right? BMW heated seat subscription. Go fuck yourself, okay? If you're charging me a fee for heated seats in the car that I just purchased or I'm buying, a subscription model, lawsuit.
And subscriptions.
I'm powerless. I just turn up one day and suddenly I've got to pay more money.
Yeah, look at that.
Subscriptions.
I'm powerless. I just turn up one day and suddenly I've
Microsoft hikes price, right? Game Pass by $10.
got to pay more money.
Spotify hikes U.S. premium subscription price.
But the cost isn't the
Netflix teases price increase in 2026.
only problem. If everything is a subscription, we won't actually own anything. Consumers are fed up, and some are fighting for the right to own what they buy.
It's a matter of liberty. Am I free to own things, or should I rent indefinitely?
Make the problem, sell the solution. I've talked about this for years, right? You're not going to be able to buy physical media, so you're going to have to rent it. You're going to have to get a streaming service.
But challenging subscriptions means taking on some of the largest companies in the world.
A whole bunch of industries that are not trying to make their products or services better. They're trying to find new ways to earn money from consumers.
That's right. They're trying to make the most minimal viable product possible for the cheapest and sell you for the most expensive. And as Sarge said, our job as customers is to get it for the cheapest, not the most expensive. And there's where it lies, the game of buying stuff, right, and using stuff.
Every month.
So how did we get to the point where practically everything is a subscription? And why is owning nothing making everything so expensive? Subscriptions feel modern, but they've been around for centuries. Americans used pay-as-you-go for newspapers, magazines, milk, and even fruit.
Sure.
But technology enabled companies to
Let me go back here for a second. But newspaper, magazines, milk, and apples are all physical items. You could do whatever you want with that piece of paper or that magazine after you own it, right? You're paying a subscription, you get the actual magazine. You stop your subscription, you still have the magazine, you still have the paper, you still have the glass jars of the milk that you drank, right? You still have the apple crate or whatever it came in, right? You still have these things. You ate the apples. Digital stuff, there's nothing to keep.
even fruit. But technology enabled companies to turn anything into a subscription.
Consumers knew they were subscribing to a newspaper because it landed on their doorstep every morning. The fact that consumers are paying for services that they're not actually using is a trend that technology has enabled.
It started with cable. For decades, most TV channels were free, and there weren't many options.
Don't miss this wonderful chance to get a Captain Video picture rate.
But that changed in the
That's YouTube, by the way, now. You guys see that, right? YouTube is what television was back in the day. It's free, but you have commercial after commercial after commercial. If you don't want to see commercials, then you pay a subscription model.
1970s. Satellites enabled nationwide broadcasting, and the government allowed more channels on the air. The first company to leverage this lucrative
There it is. Yeah, HBO.
Technology was HBO. It realized that consumers would pay monthly to access its curated channel. Cable was an early example of paying for a subscription without getting a physical product in return. And it was wildly successful.
There's going to be a huge demand for material very shortly, in a couple of years, for cable.
HBO signed.
Yeah, Baby B. We talked about it at Costco. I posted it in our Discord over the weekend. Or was it Friday? There's a clearance going on in Sam's Club right now for the Nintendo Switch 2. Like $124 off.
Signed up over 14 million subscribers in a decade. And by the mid-1980s, dozens of channels had followed its lead.
I want my MTV!
The percentage of households with a cable subscription jumped from
7.5% cable subscribers, U.S. television households in 1970.
7.5% in 1970 to around 67% by 1999.
Wow.
But that was just the beginning. Starting in the 1990s, internet providers like AOL connected millions of Americans.
There's still people using AOL. If you want to do something good for somebody, if you know somebody that's using AOL, please tell them that they don't have to pay for AOL anymore.
Using subscriptions.
You've got mail.
And consumers started shopping online.
Companies pretty quickly understood that this new structure of the relationship with consumers gave them opportunities, not for like a one-time payment, but for an ongoing monthly revenue stream.
Companies took something that consumers used to buy once and instead asked
Correct.
them to pay continue.
Right. I own this movie. I can watch that movie until I'm blue in the face. But now if I don't own that movie, I can watch that movie as much as I want, as long as I keep paying the $12 a month.
Continuously for access, like software from Salesforce, music from Rhapsody, and online games from Blizzard.
World of Warcraft.
It made sense for MMOs back in the day because you bought the game and then you were paying a monthly fee for the servers. Servers are expensive, and that's what we were looking at. We're like, oh well, we're playing the MMO and we're living there. You're paying rent to live in the game, right? And you would play this for thousands of hours. And you're like, $120? That seems like a good deal.
Try it for
But now you're doing it with everything.
free at warcraft.com.
This shift turned products into services.
There's so many people and so many internet users, and for us, this is a beginning.
This sacrifice, this trade-off of control for...
Would you rather pay $20 for your Blu-ray or $20 a month for your library of thousands of titles? I have a question, Baby B. How much time do you have in a day to watch 1,000 titles? Do you have more time than I do in my life? Because I only have 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. And if I only watched one movie a day, right? One movie a day. That's a lot of hours. It's a lot of hours to just watch movies, right? You couldn't watch all the stuff they had on Netflix if you tried. It's impossible. It's impossible. Because you have a life. You have to go do and eat, go to school, go to work, go outside. You have to actually do other things in your life. So I would rather pay $20 and own that thing for the entirety of my life than pay $20 every month to watch things that I'm not going to watch. I would rather buy the thing I want to watch than pay for the things I don't want to watch. If I watch one movie, even if I watch 3 movies a week, that's 12 movies a month. But how long are you going to keep that up for?
For convenience, right?
I operate on 48 hours a day. It's quite nice.
Improved online payment systems reduced friction. And as e-commerce grew, subscriptions popped up for every aspect of daily life. But the rise of smartphones is what solidified this transformation in the late 2000s.
For the first time on a mobile device, you can have the internet in your pocket.
Using apps had become a daily routine, and it didn't take long for some developers to start charging small monthly fees for them.
The subscription economy has grown from sort of...
That's another great example, Eclipse. Eclipse says, I bought the Teenage Mutant Turtles 90s Blu-ray. Great. If I want to watch that, where do I go? Right? I don't own it, right? I don't own it, Eclipse. So where would I have to go to watch that? Oh, wait, I can't. Because it's not on a network somewhere where I can watch all the episodes, right? I can watch maybe a couple of them on YouTube. Maybe I can go to a BitTorrent site and download them, right? Most of the stuff that I want to watch is not even on a platform.
Small set of goods and services to almost everything you can think about.
Even sleeping has a subscription now. The company 8 Sleep sells a smart mattress cover that costs over $3,000.
Or you could pay $17 a month.
Most of its functionality is locked behind a $17 monthly fee. That subscription is mandatory for at least your first year.
I probably have 10 to 20 monthly subscriptions. Am I allowed to use the word enshittification here?
Baby says, yeah, fair, but arguably get way more value via subscription or physical media pass. That's specifically what you think value is. If I buy a DVD on sale for $3 and I can get a box set for something, let's just say the box set of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that he just bought, right? If I buy that, I can watch the entirety of the series, 10 seasons, for $20. That time that I was putting that, whatever the seasons are, instead of putting it into Netflix, and I'm watching something that I want to watch. I'm not sitting there going, do I want to, what's good? No. And spend a half hour trying to figure out because of their shitty UI systems, right? You're like, I want to watch this. I got it for a really good deal because that's what usually people do. They don't just buy the first thing they see. They're like, oh, I got this on a really good deal. It's like $1 an episode, if that.
Netflix, Hulu, Dropbox,
Vogue,
HBO Max, Google Storage,
Apple TV, New Yorker,
Amazon Prime, YouTube TV, my local YMCA.
I do actually pay for Peacock.
NBA League.
Why are you paying for Peacock?
Pass. You do not get access to local games. If I want to watch a Knicks game, I have to subscribe to a totally different service. I'm convinced that there's just like a few hiding that I don't know about.
Oh, Spotify. Oh my gosh.
It's really impossible to have one service that gives you everything.
No, they do it on purpose. Look what's happening with wrestling right now. Look what happened with the NFL, right? You got to watch it on YouTube. You got to watch it on Amazon. You got to watch it on. It's like, bro, can I just watch? Can I just watch the thing I want to watch? What they were doing with HBO, not HBO, at one point there was Harry Potter. And Harry Potter, you could watch like, I think the first 2 movies on HBO, but then you had to go to, I forget, you had to go to like Netflix to watch the next episode. The other one was on like Peacock. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? Can I just watch Harry Potter? Right? If I wanted to watch a series, I had to get 3 different services. Or I could just go to the store and buy the box set and be done with it.
Actually want.
Technology proliferated subscriptions, but the reason they're everywhere is because they make companies a lot of money. Subscriptions give companies recurring revenue, something investors love. And subscriptions are sticky.
Oh, I completely disagree, Argus. Completely disagree. The things that you spend money on are chairs and beds. Right? You get yourself a good mattress, it stops a lot of problems. If you have back problems, leg problems, okay? You don't skimp out on beds because you sleep a third of your life. And you sit another third of your life.
They're good at retaining users because most are automatic.
People are 4 times more likely to cancel when they have to make an active choice.
That's another way they get around it, right? They don't want you, it's recurring automatically. They don't want you to know that your thing is empty, right? Because they just want you to forget about it and they just keep recurring. You know how much money they make for people forgetting?
That allows them to make more money than they would with more transparent pricing schemes.
Neil and his colleagues found that companies earn as much as 200% more revenue thanks to inattentive subscribers.
Industry has figured out that this is a profitable business model, and they've been moving towards it to maximize their profits.
One company doing
Oh, fucking, I canceled my Adobe. I used to use Adobe years ago. I actually owned Adobe. And then they went to the subscription model, and it was ridiculous. I said, fuck you. don't use Adobe ever again.
That is Adobe. It's been selling software since the 1980s, typically releasing a new version every year or two. But in 2012,
I had that one.
the company launched its Creative Cloud subscription. Instead of allowing consumers to buy the software once and upgrading when they want, Adobe now sells all of its apps.
No, I don't use it at all, Dupless. I don't even want to give them the benefit of them using their actual program, me pirating it. Okay? I said, fuck you, not using your product ever again.
Bundled together for a monthly fee. So if you want permanent access, you need to keep paying, even after you've spent way more than the software used to cost. Adobe faced heavy criticism for its decision, but there's no doubt it transformed the company. 3 years after launching Creative Cloud, revenue was higher than ever.
Of course.
In 2024, it's...
Look at that. Why would they go back? Why would they sell you something when people are like, well, that's just what it is. You can't buy it. You can only rent it.
Soared to $21.5 billion, over 5 times higher than before Adobe launched the subscription service.
Adobe really was a pioneer in realizing that they can squeeze a lot more revenue out of consumers by signing them up for subscriptions rather than selling software and letting consumers keep it and use it.
Tupa says, I pirated Sony Vegas too. It was where is it? Where is it? Did I lose it? Oh, there it is. It was worth the potential virus.
Use it however they want.
Another company that's made a
Krebsy says, to watch the NFL, you need like 8 subscriptions. Netflix 1 week, the next is Amazon Prime, next is Peacock, next is Fox, etc. Yeah, it's stupid. It's another reason I don't care about sports anymore.
Fortune off subscriptions is Apple. Since 2015, it has launched at least 8 subscriptions. Now, when you buy an Apple Watch, the company hopes you'll also subscribe to Fitness Plus and Apple Music.
How about no? No.
Of course, you'll also want to protect it with Apple Care. Annually, these cost about the same as the Apple Watch itself.
Apple's been remarkably successful at finding new ways to squeeze money out of its customers.
Apple's services revenue, which includes subscriptions, rose from around $20 billion in 2015 to over $96 billion in...
Look at this. Make the problem, sell the solution. There it is.
2024.
And you guys think that Microsoft is losing. You think Microsoft is losing. You don't think Microsoft is going to win in the long run. Look at just 2 examples they did right now, right? Adobe and Microsoft. I'm sorry, and Apple, right? If you don't think Microsoft, when you look at a chart 10 years from now and they go, oh, look, right? Because if you go backwards, right, it's just increment, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Look at this. 9 years. 9 years difference.
2015 to over $96 billion in 2024.
Subscriptions, from a company's perspective, is the way to go.
Of course.
The real question for me is it the way to go for consumers?
No, it's not. Because it literally erodes the entire system.
At first, many subscriptions may...
But you know what? I guess it doesn't really matter. Because for every person like me that doesn't like this stuff, there's a whole generation below us that they're not going to have a choice of liking it or not liking it. They're just going to think it's normal. And that is the real problem. The real problem is that your sons and daughters are used to it now. And by the time they get to graduating, it's just normal to them. It's like doing this with your arm, right? Like your arm just moves. Right? You just walk. They just know that they're going to be paying subscription. Everything is a subscription. And when they know everything's a subscription model for 10 years, for 15 years, for 20 years, there's no difference.
Seem like a good deal for the convenience they offer. But the lifetime costs are more opaque. Take a look at this subscription from computer hardware company NZXT. It lets you rent a gaming PC with the option to cancel at any time.
My problem is, why don't you just do a payment plan of an actual thing you're going to own? Why would you rent this for $59 per month, $129 per month, when you can go buy a PC and then just own it when you're done? If I'm going to pay $129 or $200 to this, then put it on a credit card and pay your fucking credit card.
Middle tier costs $129 per month, which might appear like a steal. But let's do some math. It'll only take 15 months to spend more than the value of the computer itself. It's common for a PC to last more than 5 years. In that time span, you'll have paid NZXT over 7,700.
Yeah, you buy a computer. Hold on a second. How much is the computer?
Costs $129 per month, which might appear like a steal. But let's do some math. It'll only take 15 months to spend more than the value of the computer itself. It's common for a
computer would have cost you almost $2,000.
PC to last more than 5 years. In that time span, you'll have paid NZXT over 7,700.
If you're paying $7,000 for a PC, okay? If you're paying this company $7,000 for a PC, I'm sorry, you're a moron. You're a moron and you deserve to get taken advantage of. Very simple. Very simple. If you are paying $129 for 5 years for a computer that you can just go out and purchase for that price, make a payment, and own the thing afterwards, sell it afterwards, because somebody else will be looking for a PC and then they would get a cheaper computer and you also make some of your money back. You are a complete moron if you pay $7,000 for a $1,500 computer.
$100 through its subscription. For that amount, you can buy the PC 4 times over.
Morons. You deserve to get taken advantage of.
Other companies entice users with free trials or sign-up promos, hoping they'll stick around even after the subscription outlives its value.
It's becoming almost anti-customer, where it feels personally.
No, it is anti-customer.
As a customer, that I'm preyed upon.
And the problem isn't just that the cost adds up over time. Many companies purposefully make it difficult to cancel.
Dark patterns are when a company designs a user interface, like a website, to deliberately
not be able to cancel,
trick or deceive customers.
Once companies have consumers' payment information, charging...
Wait, what did that say?
A user interface, like a website, to deliberately trick or deceive customers.
Try something new. You're now eligible for up to 4 offers for free trials.
Once companies have consumers' payment information, charging people is frictionless.
Oh yeah, once they have your information, not only is it easy for them to charge stuff to you, but they love to sell your information to other people so they can make more money off of you.
Raising prices is easy, and canceling subscriptions can be really hard.
Sam Levine was director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection under Joe Biden.
What I saw during my time of government is some of the biggest companies in the world were some of the biggest abusers of subscriptions.
The FTC sued Amazon in 2023 and Adobe the year after, arguing the companies tricked users into signing up for subscriptions and made it
Remember the lawsuit that the person that died from food poisoning at Disney Springs, and the person died, and the guy couldn't sue because he signed up for a free trial of Disney Plus through Verizon. Couldn't sue that his wife died because someone gave his wife food that she was allergic to, and they couldn't sue because he signed up for Verizon and got a free Disney Plus.
deliberately difficult to cancel. Let's take a look at Adobe's Creative Cloud. It defaults to a plan that
Yes, Water. Really? Really? Why would I... For me to make up a story like that, I know it sounds fake. Yeah, really happened.
looks like it's month to month, but it's actually a year-long commitment.
And the best part was he wasn't even suing for a lot. I think he was just suing for the actual, for the funeral costs, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like 15 grand.
The FTC said Adobe didn't clearly state that customers needed to pay a fee to unsubscribe early.
These fees were so big and so important to Adobe's bottom line.
Why does that even make sense? It makes sense because of the small fucking fine print they put in the things.
That one executive of Adobe described it as being like heroin in how addicted the company was to these fees.
Adobe declined Business Insider's request for comment. In 2024, it told The Verge that the quote was taken out of context and said cancellation fees made up only a small part of Adobe's revenue.
Folks who rely on Adobe services and Adobe products and end up getting ripped off.
Yeah, Kylo, because he had a Disney Plus, he couldn't sue. Because in the fine print, it says you couldn't. And he got that because he got a Verizon phone. And they gave him Disney Plus for free.
By a company that's charging them huge fees and making it really difficult to cancel.
Adobe appears to be making its subscription terms clearer. Screenshots from...
Sure they do. Sure they do. Only because they got caught. Only because they got caught.
2017 show that users had to click into the fine print to learn about the cancellation fee.
It was more the terms of the park ticket. They weren't at the park. They were at Disney Springs, Pone. They weren't at the park. They were eating dinner at a restaurant at Disney Springs. It has nothing to do with the park. It had everything to do with the Disney Plus subscription that he got from Verizon.
The FTC's case showed that in 2023, Adobe's sign-up page mentioned a fee, but didn't immediately disclose the amount. As of December 2025, it states upfront that users must pay half your remaining annual commitment, which could cost hundreds of dollars. The FTC's case is still in litigation, but others have already been successful.
It should be as easy to unsubscribe than it is to subscribe, but it doesn't feel like that's the mechanism that most businesses are going for.
The FTC was working on a rule called Click to Cancel that aimed to make canceling as easy as signing up.
The rule was hugely popular, but earlier this year, the Eighth Circuit, one of the federal courts, struck down the rule on procedural grounds, saying that industry should have had more chances.
Bro, what are we talking about? I'm going to rewind this for a second, just so you guys can understand what he just said.
The FTC was working on a rule called Click to Cancel.
They're working on a rule to make it easier for you to cancel stuff. Okay? Easier to cancel stuff. The court overruled it and said it's not fair to the businesses. Tell me that this judge wasn't given some sort of compensation.
That aimed to make canceling as easy as signing up.
The rule was hugely popular, but earlier this year, the Eighth Circuit, one of the federal courts, struck down the rule on procedural grounds, saying that industry should have had more chances to weigh in on.
I just want to fucking cancel. I just want to cancel. There should be no reason for you to badger me about why I want to cancel. I want to cancel. Why? Because you're assholes. Because I want to. Because your product's shit. Because I don't have any fucking money, right? All of these reasons, it doesn't matter what the reason is. I want to cancel.
The rule, and there's no indication that the Trump administration is planning to continue work on the rule.
Removing subscriptions from your life isn't easy. As companies connect more products to the internet, the distinction between owning and paying for access gets blurrier. Printers, security cameras, exercise equipment, and even cars all limit features.
The car thing's got me. With the heated seats and stuff.
behind subscriptions.
These are all things that are software dependent. And so when you don't have control over the software code, that means you don't have control over the physical product itself. Sometimes that means features get added, features get taken away without the consumer's consent. It even gets to whether the device continues to operate at all.
Aaron co-wrote a book in 2016 called The End of Ownership. Since then, he's only become more pessimistic.
You know what would have been funny? If this man
End
wrote a
of
book,
ownership.
and you can only rent it. That would have been fucking hilarious. He's like, yeah, the end of ownership. You can rent my book.
Since then, he's only become more pessimistic.
I think things are worse than we imagined they would be. Our daily behavior is really built around the idea that the things that we use every day are within our exclusive control. And I think when we move away from that, what's the model for what a non-ownership economy looks like? There's some very smart people out there who, describe this as a kind of return to feudalism, a world in which we don't own anything, we don't control anything, and the benefits of these resources are sort of, hoarded by the handful of technology. And
Ray says the government in the U.S. will never go against subscriptions. The only thing giving us an illusion of the economy is growing. People praise Orange Void for AI boom. That's us boosting numbers. There's a lot that goes behind it, Ray, but yeah, that's one of the things.
Media companies that control our access to them.
Mergers further concentrated this control, and with less competition, prices could rise.
They're in a much better
Netflix is required following the separation of Discovery Global, enterprise value of $82 billion.
Position to sort of eliminate consumer surplus and push consumers to paying the maximum price that they can bear. That might look good for a handful of companies, but I think ultimately it's pretty harmful for society as a whole.
The erosion of
if you don't want to pay $30 for Game Pass, you don't buy it, right? And what I'm saying about this is right now you can go buy older cards and still pay the $20, right? Not pay the $30. But even when it's all done, you just go to the lower. If you still want to play games, you don't really care about the new games. Either cancel your subscription completely, or go down to the lower tier. If more people are at the lower tier, then they'll be like, well, no one's paying for the higher tier. They'll lower that. They'll add more stuff, which they've already done. Because if you notice, after a certain period of time, they're taking the games from the $30 price tag of the $30 a month, and they're moving it over to the premium section, which is the mid-tier one. Because there's probably more people on the mid-tier one that are not moving up to the higher tier.
Ownership has already happened to media. In 2024, 84% of U.S. recorded music revenue came from streaming.
Wow, 84%. 84% just from streaming and music. 11% physical.
Physical sales accounted for 11%. It's even lower for movies and TV shows.
This is why you don't see physical DVDs or anything anymore. 98.33% is digital. 1.68% is physical.
Spending on physical media made up less than 2% of revenue. Consumers don't own the majority of media they consume. Which means...
Mr. Z says, and Hollywood played along. Now we realize having a huge DVD/Blu-ray collection is stupid as well when we just collect it and don't watch. But you do watch. You did watch. You owned it because you want to watch it down the road. A lot of people buy books, read the book, and then put the book on their shelf. You can still go back and read that book. Now, obviously, a lot of people don't read that book again or watch that movie again. But I can't tell you how many times I've watched Pulp Fiction. I've lost count. Spaceballs, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Okay. If I wanted to go watch that every single time, I would pay way more than what I paid for Christmas Vacation. Right? Caddyshack, Goonies, right? All of these things that I have and watch. Now, again, each person's their own. If you're buying stuff and not watching it, what's the point of buying it?
They give up the right to resell it, loan it to a friend, or pass their collection down through generations. When Netflix blocked password sharing, it made this imbalance clear.
When you move to digital, those secondary markets are essentially eliminated. And that's something that a lot of publishers, studios, video game developers, that they've been hoping for a very long time.
But a growing number of consumers don't want ownership to die. Take a look at this graph. Since 2005, the number of vinyl records...
Look at that. Look at that. From 2020 to 2021, U.S. vinyls have come back. 40 million vinyls being sold. In 2005, there was less than 3. In 20 years, it's gone up 35 million.
Shipped grew by over 1,200%.
So now I guess my example, I always say video games, like Xbox is not going to go away. I say it'll be like the record player. Well, there you go. 20 years from now, people will be buying old Xbox games again.
It's an old idea to physically hold something and look at it, but at the end of the day, it just feels good. It's wonderful to be a part of this.
The problem is, if you're a person that wants to watch new things, then great. Streaming platforms are for you. If you're a person that wants to watch old things, good luck trying to find what platform it's on and where it is. Where if I want to watch something, I walk up, grab the DVD, and put it in the machine.
Reemergence of a physical life that I think people are really missing in an age of complete digitization and dehumanization.
This neighborhood in Brooklyn.
This guy, what is the actor that died? Seymour Hoffman, right? This guy reminds me of him when Seymour Hoffman played in that movie where he was it High Fidelity? Was it High Fidelity? Or am I confusing that? He worked in a record store. Is that the one?
And dehumanization.
This neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York sees itself as fighting against that dehumanization. Shop owners refer to it as Analog Alley, because within a few blocks you'll find board games, books, records, and VHS tapes.
After one night of complaining one too many times, Jess yelled at me to start the store, so we started the store.
Pretty much that's what happened, yeah.
Night Owl Video's merchandise
it's got to smell really old in there.
Proudly declares death to streamers.
I think the pitch from these streamers when they started was affordability and accessibility of great movies. And now it's the complete opposite because they've started making their own movies and they want to push those onto people, removing the titles that clearly people actually want to watch.
While prices started out low, every major...
Ray says many people that buy digital and physical, they keep the physical sealed. Those are collectors, though. Those are collectors. You know what I mean? That's all that is. That's just people... That's just people that want to resell it later. Those are the people that collect Beanie Babies. Those are the people that collect whatever you want to collect. You're collecting it to collect it, not to enjoy the thing, but to sell it for a profit down the road.
Streamer has increased the cost of its subscriptions.
You're being fed from an algorithm and fooled into thinking that this algorithm is super, super tailored for your particular taste.
You're probably just going to end up scrolling for an hour and not finding anything you want to watch anyway.
Jess and Aaron hope Night Owl's human curation reminds patrons they don't have to let an algorithm pick their next movie.
for your consideration, Spirited Away. This is like...
Yeah, it does, Argus. It costs us just as much to own the thing than to rent it.
Pretty rare.
And you're getting it at a shittier quality, by the way, because Netflix doesn't even give you the full quality.
Night Owl offers an estimated 8,000 to 10,000 movies on DVD, Blu-ray, and VHS.
When I tried to order copies through the distributor too, and I couldn't get them. They're back-ordered. Young Frankenstein is back-ordered. It's really cool to see a younger generation who didn't necessarily grow up buying DVDs like we did, embracing that idea, really enjoying it and enjoying like searching through the stacks to find great stuff.
DVDs and Blu-rays haven't experienced the same comeback vinyl have.
Here's another thing about looking at someone's bookshelf or bookcase for their games, for their movies, for their music. It's a history of you on a bookshelf, right? By looking at someone's bookcase, you can tell what type of person they are by the type of books they read, by the type of movies they watch, by the type of music they listen to. Okay. And if you have all digital stuff and there's nothing there, it's just very sterile. It's just like, who are you? Like, it's like history, right? We take pictures, we have pictures and we put them in books. You're never really looking at those, but the days you pull it out and you open the page up and you start looking at old pictures, you're like, oh, that's cool. How often do you stare at your pictures on your cell phone? People take thousands of pictures. They scroll through it at that moment, and they never go back. Out of sight, out of mind, because it gets pushed into a digital photo album, and that photo album gets deleted after a certain period of time because they've taken so many pictures, they can't store it all. Or they're paying a subscription model to hold their digital photos that they're never going to look at. Or they can just buy a photo album, print out the ones that they want to look at, put them in a thing, put them on a picture frame, put them on your wall so you can actually see them. But that's not what people do now.
But for Night Owl, selling dead media has been a success. A physical collection comes with tangible benefits. Streaming catalogs change all the time as licenses swap hands or...
That's another thing. When you buy a Blu-ray or a DVD, there's also like behind the scenes, extra stuff that you're getting. You get none of that anymore. None of that.
Companies like Disney remove titles to write them off as financial losses. Blu-rays can also look and sound better than streaming because they're less compressed. And the quality doesn't change depending on your internet.
Ray says, I'm the guy who stores 16 terabytes of family pictures. I'm the guy who takes the pictures, prints out the ones I want, and we put them on walls, and we look at them. Or we put them in albums that we're going to look at. Or I put them in a storage in a fire safe so I have memories. That's what I do.
At speed. But more importantly, curating a collection is the way Jess and Aaron show their love for their favorite media.
Streaming has devalued art in almost every way.
I think that it's really important to preserve the films that you love and to really experience them.
The expressions on a lot of people's faces when they come in, it's like, wow, this still exists. It's really a nice thing.
Fighting the subscription trend became a personal mission for James Kuda, too.
I deeply hate subscriptions, unless they make sense.
His company, Procreate, has become wildly successful by asking its users to buy its apps once.
What? What a commie. Only buy it once? Jesus Christ, what a weird business owner.
Yes, we would technically make more money if we were going down a subscription route. We're all in business to generate revenue, but I think the other part of that story is we're here to generate revenue and provide value to the customer. And I think that part is just not being evaluated. We're sort of prioritizing revenue generation at the expense of the customer. I think that creates quite a lot of brand damage.
Of course it does. Minimal viable product. Why would they make a product better if you're going to pay for it, right? You're not paying full price for it. You're paying a monthly subscription for it. And they're like, it's good enough. It's good enough.
because you're not eliciting a feeling of joy or fun when you're interacting with that brand. You're creating a sense of aggravation and a feeling of entrapment, which customers don't forget.
Gamers are feeling the aggravation too. Microtransactions, battle passes, and online-only functionality are all too familiar in modern gaming.
The customer should have more, basically, freedom to own their media.
That's correct. Should. Is it ever going to happen? Probably not.
Because the more of the control lies with the company that either distributes or creates the ecosystem.
You know how fast the industry changes if we just stop buying? Do you understand how fast? Do you understand how much it could change if we just decide not to purchase the next Grand Theft Auto to come out? But we can't. We can't. We need that fixation. We need it. We have to have it.
The more opportunities for just unfair practices, they are becoming the standard, and no one knows that they are unfair anymore because they haven't seen anything else.
The platform GOG is committed to preserving retro games. But even with new titles, it offers users an offline installer without digital restrictions. That means you can install a game even if the publisher no longer sells or supports it.
The aim was to solve that for consumers and to build a digital distribution platform that would keep the good things about physical distribution, but move them into the more convenient digital era. You have the files, but they're yours. You can keep them.
That's what it should be. That's what all things should be. If I buy the game, it's mine to own.
Matter of liberty. It's a matter of whether I can actually own something and whether a company takes something away from me. Am I free to own things? Is that okay for me to own, or should I rent indefinitely?
We're not delusional. I don't think streamers are necessarily going anywhere, but I do think that people are going to become...
The only way streaming goes anywhere is if it goes away completely. And that's not because we choose to. That's because something bad happens to the planet. Right? And we go back to zero. That's the only way digital is going to reset. And then it will get physical, and then it would build back up to digital once again.
More aware of how they're spending their money on entertainment.
Consumers should make whatever choices work for them. I'm not here to tell everybody that they're wrong for having a Spotify subscription and everybody just needs to buy vinyl records. But one of the things that troubles me is that for people who want to buy tangible copies, that's becoming increasingly difficult.
Of course.
To do.
End of an era. Best Buy to stop selling DVDs and Blu-rays in 2024, right? Those of us that want to buy physical can't because they don't want to make it. So they make it digital only. And because they're making it digital only, you have no choice. Look at what Nintendo is doing right now. Nintendo with their games right now is doing exactly what we've said, right? You're going to buy physical until you can't.
There are products that many of us no longer...
This video is in the description down below. It's from Business Insider.
Want, and we're still subscribed to. And that's generating revenue for those companies. And it means that a new company, which is offering a product that we do want, they may not have an opportunity because our money is tied up somewhere else.
But the FTC is going to keep playing whack-a-mole unless it actually issues a rule that applies to every company in the economy.
This shouldn't be a hard fucking thing to do. The government says you have to let us be able to cancel it. End of story. You can't have dark patterns. You can't keep people within your service. They have a choice to leave your service. This shouldn't be a thing. This shouldn't be a thing where you have to look through 19 pages on the website to cancel. It shouldn't ask you 15 questions after you hit cancel. It says, are you sure? Are you sure you're sure? Yeah, I'm fucking positive.
Saying you can't trap people in subscriptions and you can't lie to people when they're signing up.
What worries me is, I think the status quo is more desirable to the companies that control these markets, and I don't think they're likely to yield that control without a real fight.
Apple did not respond for requests for comment. Of course not. Right, Eclipse. Are you sure? On the call, a spokesperson for HP said that the company's strategy meets customers where their preferences lie. And while HP doesn't exclusively rely on subscriptions, the spokesperson called the business model stickier. Yeah, like I swear to God, we're going where the players are. Like use all the same terminology, right? We meet consumers where they are. Industry standards, modern audience, right? It's the same shit. A spokesperson for 8 Sleep wrote an email delivering the experience requires secure transmission plus real-time processing and storage data for each user, which carries meaningful operating costs. Importantly, because customers pay for the service, we don't need to monetize their information in other ways. Unlike many free tracking apps and services, we don't sell customer data. That's an admittance that other companies do. And this is my point exactly. When you sign up for something, you're not signing up just for the signing up of the thing to get the thing, right? You're signing up and you're giving your rights away, and they get to use your rights. They get to sell your information. When you all of a sudden are getting emails and you're getting calls and spam, you're like, I didn't sign up for anything. You did. You did. By signing up for a service that you're paying and renting for $30 a month, you're also giving your information out there. All for the price of one video game or the album that you got or the ink cartridges that you purchased. There you go. It's in the description down below. It should be the right one. Business Insider, yeah. So it's in the description down below. It's crazy stuff, man. And it just gets, we're the frog in the pot. We're just boiling it up. And it's not even us. We're adults, right? We're adults. Most of us saw where there was no subscription. And then now there is subscription. But your kids, they've never seen nothing but subscriptions. So they're even worse off. Because when they're our ages, like I said in the beginning, this is just going to be normal. There won't be any difference in this. But like, yeah, it's always been like that. Someone's going to come around and show them something like mind-blowing. They'll be like, this is a record. They're like, whoa. Wait, there's music on that thing? How many songs does it hold? 8, maybe 12. Wow. What do you do with that? Krabsy says, why don't they design a physical video games that is planned obsolescent and breaks offer 1,000 hours of use? Want to keep playing? But again, you're welcome, companies, for this genius idea. Well, they do. They just say we're shutting down the servers. Justin Love says, I stopped getting spam for a long time. Brought something on this website, and now I'm getting spam. Yeah, that's what happens. That's exactly what happens. All right, time is it? 11:43. There's another video. There's another video I have, but it's 28 minutes long. But I want to watch it because it says "Say no to next gen." I don't know what it is. Let's watch it. We'll watch it. It says, say no to next gen. It's 2 weeks ago. It's from, who's it from? From Scott's Stash. Scott's Stash. Never heard of him before? Let's watch this video.
Kids, Just say no to next gen.
You know, we are currently at the point where normally we would usually be talking about next generation consoles, but it just does not feel warranted at this point. And that could be for numerous different reasons. I mean, let's go back through the history of...
Krebs says, look up QR code soda fountains. All right, give me a second. QR codes soda fountains. Soda machines? Or soda fountain? Soda fountains.
Prepare to never get free refills again because fast food restaurants are tired of you costing them a couple cents more when you're refilling your soda. As you can see in this video, if you go to the fountain, soda does not come out unless you scan this little QR code on the side of your...
I hate to break this to you, Krebsy. This has been a thing in Disney World for maybe about a decade. So in Disney World, and think about this, because they get their soda for free. They don't pay anything for it. But there's a little chip at the bottom of every cup. And when you put it on top of the soda machine and click, it'll literally tell you you have 2 refills left or 1 refill left. And if you're pay for your Disney plan, you have a certain amount of drinks that you can get. If you just pay a regular one, you get just the one type of thing. Right? So what it stops is, and then even if you take the cup and leave and come back another day or whatever, it still won't work. Right? So this has been a thing. It makes sense inside the actual, and I'm not defending this in any way, shape, or form, but they've been doing that, and they get their sodas for free. Inside, like Wendy's, Burger King, and stuff like that, people come in and just steal the soda all the time. So this stops that from happening, which would save them millions of dollars a year.
Your cup, and after you scan it, it'll say, okay, this is a one-time use and you have 20 seconds to fill up your cup. After that, the soda fountain shuts off and the next person needs to come up and scan their cup as well. And everybody knows a cup of soda costs a restaurant maybe a couple of cents, and so the fact that they're being this aggressive at stopping us from getting free refills is insane. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, my fast food restaurant is too cheap to implement an expensive system like this, well, they're probably still doing it in another roundabout way by just removing the soda fountain altogether. And if you don't believe me, just walk into your local McDonald's and you'll...
Yeah, most of them put the soda machine behind the counter, and you have to ask the employee to fill it up for you now.
Probably notice the self-serve soda fountain is just gone. If your location is still lucky enough to have one, well, it's not going to last long because McDonald's themselves put out a statement saying that over the next few years, they're going to completely phase out self-serve soda stations. And this is coming from the same restaurant that's now...
Which is kind of funny because I don't like doing self-service in like supermarkets and stuff where I have to scan my own groceries. But this is one thing I like to do self-serve for because... you know, I want to fill up my drink again.
Charging up to $18 for a Big Mac meal. I think whether we like it or not, systems like this will prepare to never get free refills again because fast food...
So there you go. This is a second channel. You gotta buy $28 cups, and it only lasts the time that you stay. Right. Well, that's if you stay on the grounds. If you're just a regular person, you get 3 refills. That's it. 30 at this point, only interested in the next gen Xbox because of being hybrid. There's nothing else that PlayStation 6 is worth my time or won't be on a PC. Just says 20 seconds. Half that cup is foam. Plus, the cups at Disney are also that are refillable are only at the resorts. You have to buy drinks separately when at the park. Yeah, but you can go back up and ask them, and they'll refill it for you. I just want my cherry Coke. How many refills are the average people getting? The drinks are fucking huge. A lot of people go back and they just fill it up, and then they'll pour it out and stuff. They lose a lot of money. Only people that own a business will understand how much money they lose in the fountain drinks, even if it is a couple cents, because the cents add up. Even like if you go to a place and they have like those little cups that you put like ketchup in and stuff like that, or if you take like 15 napkins and then throw those napkins out without even using them, like all of that adds up. They're just blowing money left and right. So a lot of them try to put the napkins in the bag for you or fill the drink up for you because they save so much money. All right, let's watch this.
Of video game generations, a concept that I think is only really known by schmucks like us. I've talked to many of my friends who just aren't really that interested in like following video games like I do. And they're generally like, I didn't even know there were such a thing as video game generations. So, to be honest, I'm not really sure if this mindset really applies to the general consumer. I think the general consumer, when they see a PlayStation 6, they'll be like, oh gosh, it's a PlayStation 6, I want that. But the general sentiment,
I don't know. The general consensus right now for any kind of console is like, I can't afford that.
I see many have online, and one that I do share as well, is this feeling that the current generation just hasn't really even gotten started yet. Which, like I said, I agree with, but it's also like, on paper, you know, it's kind of hard to argue that sometimes. Because to be honest, at the very least, the PlayStation 5 generation is kind of going pretty similarly to how the PlayStation 4 generation went. A lot of people look back at the PS4 and go, wow, oh my god, so many games that generation. And yes, but in the first half of that console's lifespan, like I almost feel like some people kind of forget the PS4's launch lineup wasn't anything to really write home about.
Nope.
In fact, in many ways, I would say the Xbox One's launch lineup was better than the PS4's. I'd argue the PS4 didn't really hit its stride until like 2016 or so. Before that, a lot of the stuff that was kind of releasing was just a lot of re-releases and remasters and cross-gen titles. But I think around that 2016 mark, not only were we getting a lot of good exclusives on the PS4 and also the Xbox One, but also just a lot of like good games in general. It kind of felt like that generation fully started to like, all right, things are finally off to the races. You know, we got Uncharted 4, Ratchet and Clank, Horizon Zero Dawn in 2017. Now, even The Last Guardian finally released. And honestly, around 2016, that's when I think we started to finally shift fully away from cross-gen titles that were also releasing on Xbox 360 and PS3. You know, before then, in 2015, 2014, we had some incredible games like Metal Gear Solid 5, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Wolfenstein, Dragon Age. But of course,
yeah, 100% Eclipse. Again, people that don't run restaurants or know anything about that have no idea, right? They just think, oh, it's no big deal. Well, it's just a couple. Yeah, but if 1,000 people come in and they all do the exact same thing that you guys do, we're out fucking thousands of dollars.
They also released on the previous generations, which I don't necessarily think is like this massive point against them or anything. But, you know, at the same time, when I'm playing a cross-gen game, it is kind of on my mind that what I'm playing is not necessarily like, oh yeah, this is really using this brand new console that I bought. But I'd say around the 2016 mark, I'd honestly say when we saw like Doom release and then onward, I think a lot of the multiplats that we're hitting were like, all right, now we're finally in just the 8th generation territory now. So I'd say we had about 3 years of...
I think if the next system comes out, whatever system I go with, I won't pick it up for at least 3 years, 4 years into the cycle. So I'm not buying another system for another 7 years, 6 to 7 years from right now.
Growing pains, I guess you would call them, for the 8th generation of consoles there.
I guess about 4 or 5 years, because if the Xbox or PlayStation comes out in 2027 or 2028, I'm not buying until 2031.
It's pretty lengthy, all things considered. You know, you look back to the 7th generation with the Xbox 360 and PS3. And yeah, so the Xbox 360 launched in 2005, PS3 in 2006. We were still getting games on the PS2 for years to come. Hell, we got FIFA 14 on the fucking thing. But I think that was a lot more indicative of just how well the PS2 sold and the fact that the Wii was a part of the 7th generation and shared kind of a similar technical prowess to the PS2. That's why you saw during the 7th generation a lot of Wii and PS2 multi-plat games. But by comparison, they're really...
The only way I would pick it up, Pone, for instance, if my Xbox Series X and the next Xbox comes out and I could play all my old Xbox games on the next Xbox, maybe I get it up sooner because I can still play my other games while I'm waiting for the other ones. But if they make it for the old system, which would be the system I'm on now, and they make it for the new system, there's no reason for me to upgrade.
Wasn't any original Xbox or GameCube games releasing after their successors launched, like maybe for like a year there, but that was kind of it. So the PS2 getting support for as long as it did was more of kind of just like a special situation. The 8th generation kind of normalized a much longer than usual cross-gen period where the previous generation was being supported well into the next generation. And then we saw that even harder with the 9th generation.
Think we can maybe see Rise of Hydra or Wolverine at the State of Play, more probably Rise of Hydra, huh?
Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. I think we see Wolverine for sure. Because when we read the thing this morning and they said that the State of Play is on Thursday, talking about an hour worth of first-party titles and third-party titles, I would assume they're going to show something of Wolverine. I know there's a lot of stuff going on that they also might introduce another hero with inside the Wolverine game, which then people speculate, like, let's say it is Daredevil, that they might do a Daredevil game as well as their next game or whatever. So we'll see.
PS5 and Xbox Series X. Oh, that was even a big point when Microsoft was prepping the Xbox Series X launch in 2020. They were specifically talking how this generation is kind of different, how they're not really looking at this as a generation. Rather, this is kind of a continuation of the Xbox One, I guess. And for a while there, the Xbox Series X didn't really ever have true exclusives. Like basically every game Microsoft was releasing for the thing was cross-compatible with the Xbox One line of consoles. And I think this has always been kind of an interesting debate to have because on one hand, this is nice for the consumer because you're not necessarily being told like, hey, you need to upgrade to this brand new console. Like if you have an Xbox One, you can play all these major games releasing, at least for the time being, on that console instead of having to shell out $500 for a brand new one. At the same time, like what?
If people have to shell out that much money, they're going to get a PC. That's what's going to happen. Because if you're gonna buy a system to play video games, and if one system can rule them all, it would be a PC. Because at some point in some time, all the games that are on console, if legally or not, you can play on a PC.
Incentive do I have buying the brand new piece of hardware? And the mindset that, oh, if a game is cross-gen, that's not going to hold back the next-gen releases or anything, I think is stupid. Now, I'm no game developer. I don't know shit about how any of that works. But I think it's only logical to know that, like, yeah, if you're creating a game and you have to keep in mind that this game needs to run on 10-year-old hard.
I've said it all the time. You have to make the game run on the weakest link, basically, right? This is what I said when the Xbox first originally said the S and the X. I was like, it needs to run on the S, so they have to go to the lowest common denominator, which is the S, which technically is the 1, because those games are still running on the 1.
Hardware. You're not going to fully design the game to take full advantage of this brand new hardware. Like, yeah, you're going to be able to do some nice things with the new hardware, graphically and technically speaking, but no, you need to always keep in mind this game needs to be able to run on ass-old hardware. And like, I feel like every company has said this to an extent. Like, I know somebody who worked on God of War Ragnarok said that, oh, the game was never restricted by the PS4 hardware. And it's like, that might be true, and I feel like they are telling the truth there. They are literally just saying, like, what we wanted to do, like, we were able to do on PS4 and PS5. But it's also like, yeah, this is a sequel to a PS4 game.
Right. That's exactly right. Because it was on the PlayStation 4 and you make the next one, they have to make it run on the least common denominator, which is the 4. So it's not made for the PlayStation 5.
I just feel like you can't deny this giant cross-gen period definitely limited or at least heavily postponed us seeing what the PS5 could really do. Because for the most part, the PS5 has been a very good graphical experience in my opinion, but when I truly put it side by side with PS4 games, it's not like this massive difference.
Right.
The 9th gen
It's such a small difference.
Generation has felt like a smoother, faster version of the previous one. But here's the thing. I think that's good enough. I have no problem with that, because even looking back at certain PS4 games, if I look back at Uncharted 4, if I look back at The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII Remake, all these games still look amazing. And yeah, the PS5 versions of all of these games run better. The PS4 versions pretty much all ran at like 30 frames per second. And some of these games, like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Ghost of Tsushima, did get sequels on PS5 that looked and ran even better. I think my point is, when I look at all of these games, whether they're the originals that started on PS4, the PS5 re-releases, remasters of those PS4 games, or the PS5 sequels to those PS4 games, I think I just start to think like, what, do we really need brand new hardware? And I think the release of the PS5 Pro...
No, we don't, because what is the selling point of the next Xbox? What's the selling point that we know of right now? The selling point is that you can play your Steam games on there, right? Not that the graphics are going to be this much better, right? Nothing. It's that you can have your Steam games on your Xbox, or you can play more games on your Xbox. It's not about the graphic fidelity or anything like that they're saying.
Really kind of made everybody start questioning that, because the PS5 didn't necessarily feel like it was struggling in most cases. Where some games, you have to choose between performance or fidelity mode if you want to do 60 frames per second or you want to do 4K visuals. And that's kind of a situation where it's like, okay, I guess. Like, yeah, PS5 Pro eliminates having to choose between performance or fidelity mode in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it's very incremental, Kraken. Kraken says graphical fidelity has peaked. Last massive jump is still like the 360 PlayStation 3 era. Yeah. God, that was like peak gaming then, right? Now you get to the 4, and graphically it went up. But from the 4 to the 5, I mean, like the 5 from the 6 is going to be very, very small. So they got to sell in other ways, right?
And I think my thing is like, yeah, maybe I need a crazy ass TV to be able to see a lot of the differences. I think the PS5 Pro is overkill in many instances. But even when I see where it kind of succeeds, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, like runs really well and looks really good on the PS5 Pro. All right, I'll concede that. The normal PS5 version of that game notoriously had a really rough looking performance mode. Like, yeah, you get 60 frames per second, but it looks like ass. So even when I wouldn't recommend a PS5 Pro to most consumers, I will at least acknowledge that, like, yeah, like across the board, you get the best running and best looking versions of these games on console. Okay, but then I have to ask, now what? What do we truly need?
Yeah, where are we
in
going?
Video games moving forward.
I just realized my shirt matches his sweater. It's like we're on the same podcast together.
Why do we need to spend another $500, $600, $700 for the next piece of hardware to play the next generation of video games? What could these video games possibly do or look like to warrant spending that amount of money and leaving this whole console gen?
Yeah, chat, what would it need? Like, what would the next PlayStation 6, next Xbox have to make you buy the system? Right? All games at 60 frames? Right? 4K? Nothing below. It's got to be 60 minimum. Like, what do you need? Hey, games that they promise to. Like, I don't know what you need. Quick resume is a must. Yeah, that's true, Ray. I like the quick resume feature. Got to be $400. No. I'm not saying what the price is, Altern. What I'm asking is, what does the system have to have for you to be like, bro, $1,000? Yeah, I'm buying that. I don't think there is anything at the start. To me, they're all a bunch of fucking liars. I'm not buying anything. They told me that these systems did these certain things, and they didn't. Backwards compatibility in games I can play on the older ones.
Generation in the dust. And don't get it twisted. These companies, they want to do a new generation. It's not about if it's completely warranted or not. Like, literally, if Sony puts out a PlayStation 6, that's millions of units sold and hundreds of millions, billions in revenue right there. More games get sold. The brand gets like a huge spike in popularity and word of mouth again, all of that. It definitely benefits them in the short term to move on and to do a new generation of consoles.
Crowd says, well, I literally almost just died. What happened? You choked to death? Got in a car wreck? Look at the phone? What happened?
However, I do kind of worry that moving on to a next-gen console when it doesn't feel really warranted just makes it a lot harder to be passionate about what's going on in the game industry, which is something that I've seen happen to a lot of people and something that I felt a bit myself. Like in the recent year or so, I haven't really given a fuck.
I almost died on stream one time. I ate pound cake. I ate pound cake on stream. This is like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. And you know that you guys ever had that pound cake? And I inhaled, right? I inhaled. And when I inhaled, the little particles of the pound cake like shot to the back of my throat. And oh my God. I was like, couldn't breathe. Almost died. Dealing on a main road. Oh, almost got hit by a car.
What goes on with the PS5 and specifically the Xbox Series X. I couldn't care fucking less about that thing. That doesn't mean I don't play my PS5. I've been playing Ghost of Yotei and I love Ghost of Yotei. I really enjoy Mafia: The Old Country. I am definitely interested in finally giving Claire Obscure Expedition 33 a shot. But like when it comes to watching the state of plays, I'm pretty fucking spotty with those things, man. I don't give a fuck half the time. So if in the next year
Kraken says 90 frames, 1440p, complete backwards compatibility, a disk drive, free online. So Kraken, you're never buying a system. You're never buying a system because none of that shit's gonna happen. Krabsy says graphics didn't peak. We still have a lot of room for the improvements of ray tracing, path tracing. Then you have AI implementations and improvements. Yeah, but my question is, I don't think where is graphics going? I think graphics don't need to go past what Battlefront 2 is. Like what Battlefront 2 looks like and what games look like today. I think that's it, man. I don't think they need to go past that. I think once you get past what that is and you start making like reality. What was that one, Body Cam that came out? I think people start losing interest. Honestly. Because people, I think, play games to get out of reality. I don't think they want their games to be reality. Or look like reality.
They announce a PlayStation 6, and it's going to be the same old song and dance as before. But now things are going to be even worse because if games are already taking forever to release on PS5, you know for a fact they're going to take fucking even longer for the PS6. So then we're going to have another console with even bigger gaps between releases. And yeah, like, I'll get the next PlayStation. I'll always get the next PlayStation.
And I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem. Not with just him. I think that just in general. I'm not picking on... What was his name again? What's his name? Scott. I don't think it's Scott. Like, Scott has a problem. I think that's a problem in general, right? This is the same thing with Call of Duty. No matter what Call of Duty comes out, people buy Call of Duty. Doesn't matter what FIFA comes out or what Madden comes out, people just buy it. And what he just said...
Going to have another console...
And the way he said it, by the way...
with even bigger gaps between releases. And yeah, like, I'll get the next PlayStation. I'll always get the next PlayStation.
And that right there is exactly what Sony knows. That's what Xbox knows. That's what Nintendo knows, right? Of course I'm going to get the next Nintendo. Of course I'm going to get the next Sony. You don't even make them earn it. It's just default. You're not letting the customer, you're not letting the company earn your money. You're just giving it to them. And this is exactly why they do it, right? They're not going to make it the best of the best at the beginning because you're purchasing at the front. So they don't have to give you the best of it, right? This is why games come out broke, buggy, and unfinished. This is why they charge subscription models. This is why they do live service games, because they don't want to give you the best of the best up front, because they want you to keep coming back. And this is the mentality. I'm always going to get that regardless.
But I think what's starting to just kind of like fade away is this overall passion for everything going on with these console brands, which to an extent I feel like is an unhealthy parasocial relationship with.
Yeah, it is.
Plastic. But I just kind of feel like that kind of love and passion about PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo is what keeps this kind of
See, instead of saying like I'm going to buy the next PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo, when they show me they have good games and a reason to buy it, it's I'm going to get it. That's the starting point. I'm going to get it. Just when?
Of being a fan of video games is so engaging. I look back to the PS4 era and when Sony did the PlayStation experiences, which was pretty much just these fan events for them to do like a secondary E3 showcase where they go up on stage, they make a ton of announcements, and a lot of these announcements were much more fan focused. There were portions of this where they were like, oh, and this game is coming to the PlayStation Vita, and they showcase like the Vita during a time in which it was even farther past the grave. It was like at the fucking Earth's core. But as time went on, Sony just stopped going to E3. They took a page out of Nintendo's book and started doing the state of plays, and and now there's like no real major face to PlayStation. PlayStation is just a fucking entity, which is something that you also see with Nintendo as well. Like, Nintendo has faces, and they have a lot of very iconic people related to that company. Most of them are developers that kind of turned into like more so figureheads at the company, but Nintendo has also been going in that direction as well.
Just Enough says buying a console is sort of like upgrading your PC, but worse. Yeah, it is worse. Because at least with a PC, I don't have to replace everything. I can be like, I want to get a new graphics card. I'm going to get a new RAM. You can't do anything with your console.
Where they don't really want to lean into focusing so much on their presidents or the super big business guys there. Like, those guys kind of take more of a back seat now, which is fine. I mean, I don't need Doug Bowser patronizingly pretending to tell me how much he cares about the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake on Switch 2. I mean, we're getting a little far away from the point. So to kind of bring things back a little bit, this overall shift with these companies feels much more business oriented.
Of
and
course.
Not to say that they've never been like that. Honestly, them showboating their presidents and big business guys in front of everybody created more of a parasocial relationship, if anything. Which, I mean, to be fair, it was kind of a business decision to create this kind of weird parasocial bond between the video game fan.
Your $60 power supply broke. Oh no, I guess you're gonna have to buy another $450 machine.
And the CEOs like Reggie Fils-Aimé and Jack Tretton making me feel like it's just like, oh man, they're cracking jokes on stage. They're just like me. I love this company. Fast forward to the PS5 era where you had Jim Ryan, who actively looked at fucking Gran Turismo on PS1 and said, who the fuck would ever want that? I don't fucking like this shit. I have a new Nintendo of America CEO, and we're not going to hear from her at all. I guarantee you that. Because in my eyes, these companies are kind of just moving towards, if it don't make us money, why the fuck are we going to do it? Which is why...
Well, that's how any business is. That's how every business is.
We were talking about next gen, even when it doesn't feel like that makes any fucking sense to do so. You got to keep coming out with brand new hardware. And I get it, we gotta keep pushing technology forward, but when the technology is getting pushed forward and it costs a piss ton of money to produce...
If there's no incremental... Like, there was difference between PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3, PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 to PlayStation, right? But now we're hitting that ceiling. And if there's not these big leaps and jumps, it's like, do you need to bring it out 6 years after the last one, 7 years after the last one? Probably not. Right? All the tech stuff behind the scenes is more of the AI-driven type of stuff. You know, frame generation, right? Making frames that are not there to make it seem like it's running smoother and faster.
And the results really aren't that much better than what we're already getting out of a PS5. That's when I feel like they need to sit down and get their priorities in check. Across the board, in the holiday season of 2025, video game hardware was not selling all too well.
I think what the industry should do is not bring out new systems, but what I think they need to do is bring out more games, but get the price down. Get their price down. Not the price is going to be the same. We're never going below the $70 for AAA games again, right? Obviously, Expedition 33 and stuff like that, it's a AA game, right? There are going to be games that are $40, $50. But AAA games at $70. It's never going to go, it's never going back down. But the companies need to get their budgets in control. That's what they need to do for the next system.
And I think the companies will probably look at that and go, "Oh shit, man, we might need to move on to the next gen of hardware." And I don't think that's the problem. Do you know how many people are still playing like Fortnite on the original PS4?
57 million. 57 million people on PlayStation are still probably playing Fortnite.
I don't think the PS5 really truly had like that giant surge of games that, oh, you can only play on this generation of console, and this is a complete must-have. I think when Grand Theft Auto 6 launches, that's going to be a different story, but you know what? That's going to be in like, I don't know, when the PS7 launches. But even mentioning that, I think that brings up another massive problem with this generation. Development times are getting way too long and games are costing way too much to make. And bringing in a next-gen console, things are just going to get even worse.
Right. If you're making a game that costs you $350 million now, $500 million now, what is your game going to cost on the next PlayStation and the next Xbox? Good luck to you. Because not only are you not going to get the amount of people to buy your game, because many people are not going to buy the actual system. Systems keep selling less and less every generation, but they make more money. Why? Because, well, the PlayStation 2 cost $100. $99. Then the PlayStation 3 cost $700 or $600, whatever it was at the time. Right? And then they went back to $350, $400. Now it's up to $600, $650. Then it's going to go up to $800 or $1,000. So you're selling less, but you're making the same because people are paying $200, $300 more.
Game development time and costs have reached absurd levels. And I think it just gets to a point where I look at a lot of the games, a lot of the AAA games, even AA games releasing for the current generation of consoles. And, you know, to act like we're not getting fantastic games is, you know, just a lie. We've had some incredible releases this generation so far. But I'm going to be honest, a lot of the games that are releasing and the games that are taking so damn long all look and play so fucking similarly to games that we got 5 years ago. Ghost of Yotei is really cool, but it's pretty much just more of Ghost of Tsushima. Then we had Spider-Man 2, which it's just like I enjoyed what I played, but like I still haven't finished that game because it's just like I didn't really feel a huge drive. Like I'm just like, I've played this game basically twice before. Yes, this is more technically impressive, but it's kind of, it just feels like more of the same. Even with Nintendo, when Tears of the Kingdom took literally like 6 years to release after Breath of the Wild, and it's just like, yeah, it made sense. There's a lot of under the hood stuff going on with that game, but it's also like, damn, this game took this long and it looks and runs the damn same. We had Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok. Yes, these are fantastic games, but I feel like this generation has felt like it hasn't even really gotten started because a lot of the games that are releasing here are just kind of like more of the same from what we got from the previous generation.
Because they sell a lot and they're like, well, let's just keep doing that. They don't want to take any risks. They just want to keep making the exact same things over and over. And if it's not a first-party title, and this is not a Sony thing, this is a game industry thing. If someone makes a game and it kicks off a battle royale, then everyone's going to make a battle royale. If everyone comes out and makes a extraction game, now everyone's going to make an extraction game. That's just the way it is.
Hell, even a game like Astrobot in 2024, like Game of the Year, I love Astrobot. But also, that game is so goddamn similar to not only Astro's Playroom, the free pre-installed game with the PS5, but also the original Astrobot VR game. And of course, that's to be expected, but Astrobot Rescue Mission VR on PS4's PSVR literally beat for beat follows so much of what Astrobot PS5 did. In addition to Astro's Playroom being obviously like pretty much the foundation for what Astrobot PS5 is. Not saying anything about the quality of Astrobot, and also most of the people I think that played Astrobot PS5 didn't even play Astrobot Rescue Mission on PSVR back in the day. But still, I'm just trying to make the point that like this generation, while it has gotten started and it has been going on for 6 years now, a lot of the big games that are releasing aren't really pushing boundaries like mad. Like if
they don't need to. They don't need to push boundaries. They just have to do the minimal viable product.
Feels like we're just kind of getting a lot of the same franchises and a lot of the same styles of games over and over again. That doesn't mean that things are like, oh, bad or anything. But when we take a look at the Xbox 360 era, we were getting literally like trilogies and then some from a lot of franchises, like Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, Gears of War 1, 2, 3, and Judgment, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, all within like 2-3 years of each other. And I think it's just making it harder to be super excited when we have to wait 5 years for the next game in a franchise.
It's simply happening with TV shows now. You notice that? Where we used to get seasons 1, 2, 3, year after year after year, you would get 28 episodes, and then it would be every year you would get the next episodes. Now you get a season, 8 episodes, maybe 10, then you got to wait 2-3 years for the next season. Why? It's so ridiculous. You could literally take a show in the old format of 28 episodes, film it all, and then you could break them up into 3 fucking seasons, and then at the 8 episodes. Do you know what I mean? But they don't want to do that. They rather do 8 episodes and then go on hiatus for 3 years and then come back with another 8 episodes, and the people look completely different, or they dead because something happened to them. Right? Instead of, hey, why don't we film 24 episodes, film them all, and then release them at 8, 8, and 8 for 3 seasons, or 1 season for that long. Nope, can't do it, because they have to have 8 episodes, so it lasts 2 months, and they put it in the halfway point of the month, and because they have more shows coming out, they know if you're just watching 1 season of something, you're not going to watch the other stuff. Why? Because we all have the same amount of fucking time in our life, which is 24 hours, okay? So they have to make 8 episodes. Like, oh, we can't put it 28 episodes, because then if they have 28 episodes, if they binge watch that, they're not going to watch the other stuff that's coming out on our streaming services.
Compared to 2 years. You know, and it makes sense. I'm not saying that...
Sorry, I went on a little tangent there.
Oh, these game developers need to work faster or anything, you know? I think a lot of developers already work hard enough. I think these generations just need to be longer at this point, because a game developer is only going to get like 1 or 2 games out a generation. Or I think a lot of these projects need to slim the hell down. They need to trim the fat, because I think it's obvious shorter dev times are possible. It can.
He's saying the same thing I did. That's amazing, right? That's amazing. Yeah, they got to bring down the budgets, man. They got to get control. The next generation, they got to get the control of their actual budgets of their games so they can actually make stuff.
Be done. You look at what Insomniac's able to do with Spider-Man PS4 releasing in 2018, and then Spider-Man Miles Morales releasing in 2020. Now, Miles Morales is more of kind of like a standalone expansion / side story, where it's much shorter than a big AAA release. It obviously reuses a ton of assets, but overall, like, I thought that game came out pretty damn good. Yeah, it was shorter, but it's also like, I kind of want a shorter game from time to time. Sue me. Yeah, I'm willing to bring legal proceedings into this discussion. But I think a lot of game studios are at a point where they don't really want to take a lot of risks. I think development costs have gone so damn high that a lot of these companies are going like, well, we just need to put out what works and put a shit ton of money into that.
Yep.
And then just hope it sells 40 million copies. So then, of course, you have the live service. And
I'm telling you, these game companies, they don't need to sell as many games as you think they need to sell, right? When they say underperform doesn't mean... I said this to Travis this weekend, right? If I want 100 people to watch my stream, that's my goal, to have 100 people watch my stream. But I get 30, what do we have? 34 people, right? I could tell you, oh, my stream underperformed. Now, obviously, having the 34 people is a goal, right? I love having the 34 people in my stream. But my goal is 100 to have in my stream. But it underperformed. Now, does that mean I'm profitable or not profitable or whatever? No. No one says anything of that. They just say it underperformed. But we don't know what it underperformed to. We don't know the budget of the game. We don't know how many they sold. We just say they underperformed. If a game is under $100 million, okay, $100 million, right? Let's do some quick math real fast, right? Let's say, right, my game cost $50 million to make. $50 million to make. Okay, $50 million, that's the budget of the game. Let's add an additional $25 million, so it's a $75 million game with marketing, with the actual budget of the thing. Took us 4 years, okay? Took us 4 years, $75 million. So now I want to divide that by a $70 video game, okay? I need to sell 1 million copies. 1 million copies gets me my money back. But I want to sell 5 million copies. But it only sold 2 million copies, 2.5 million copies. And then I'm like, oh, it underperformed. Okay, but you made your money. They're profitable. They're profitable. Hence why when I tell people all the time, when you look at certain games and they're like, oh, well, it scored an 84. Yeah, but what is the budget of that game, right? What is the budget that they're making these games for? Is it $100 million? Is it $200 million? Is it $350 million? $350 million. If I have a $350 million game before actual, right, and divide that by 7, I got to sell 5 million copies with the $350 million budget. That's before marketing. So all these games that come out, like Yote, probably made money, but it sold less than 3.5 million copies or 4 million copies. But if their budget's under thing, then they made double their money, and they're good.
Initiative where all of these games need to just live on for years and years and years, and I'm just like, this is getting fucking boring and it's unsustainable. And I just don't really see what a next-gen console is gonna do to just tantalize me. With the Xbox Series X and PS5.
Justin says, forget about the 100 people watching. You just need 25 paying cult members. That's right. But to get the 25 paying cult members, I need, on average, right? On average, I need at least 100 people, so I get at least 2 out of every 10, right? So you need more people to potentially give you that cult money.
Ray tracing was kind of shown as like, oh, this is the next big step for graphics. And I don't give a fuck about it. So yes, I mean, like, I can see ray tracing. I can understand that, like, oh yeah, you know, that looks really nice, I guess. But like, the best ray tracing isn't even like, you don't even notice it. Oh, just really good reflections, all of that. And like, when ray tracing is turned off, like, I don't even really notice that it's gone. If technology like this is costing millions of dollars, not only on the development end of things, but also to produce hardware that's capable of producing graphics like that, that's not worth it. And I think games are at a point where if we can hit 4K resolution and 60 frames per second, I think that's as good as things really need to get.
I would kind of agree with that. On console, if you could do 4K at 60 frames per second and that's where it stopped, I think that's all you really need. Right? Because we went backwards. It was at 60, then it went back down. It went down to 30. But if you had 4K 60, that would be like, that's it for console. Obviously, if you want to go above 60 frames, then you would go for PC.
Yes, you could do 120 frames per second.
Right.
But I'm not currently really at the state where 120 frames really does much for me. Yes, it feels even better than 60 frames per second, but I think 60 is like where a game truly
Altern's like, actually
feels great. And I think anything more than that can be overkill. It can definitely be nice, but I don't think it's necessarily necessary most of the time. Now, I've definitely accepted the 4K revolution. You know, I definitely prefer games running in 4K compared to 1080p. But even then, a lot of times games running at 1080p, they still look great. Like 1080p is still a good resolution, but 4K is definitely where things are pretty much like perfect. And they tried to make 8K work. The PS.
Nobody tried anything about 8K. Nobody tried shit about 8K. Yeah, 8K, 4K, 120 frames, up to.
5 console originally launched with an 8K logo on the box. Probably because in 2020, Sony was.
That's because 8K sells.
Was like, well, that's the next step. It's 8K. We're going to do 8K. We're going to try to sell 8K TVs. But then, like, nobody bought 8K TVs.
No one bought them because we just said this earlier in the stream. No one bought 8K because no one made content for 8K.
8K TVs are barely in production anymore, even though they tried selling them, because 8K TVs were stupid expensive, and in practice, nobody could tell a goddamn difference. The only way you're really going to notice any difference between...
You would have to like a movie-sized screen. Literally, you would have to have a giant screen to tell.
4K and 8K is if your TV is literally like 200 inches.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm sure you won't see that much of a...
No, but you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see the difference unless you had a 4K next to the 8K, and then you would see the difference. You know what I mean? If you just look at 4K, you'd be like, this is amazing. If you just look at 8K, you're like, oh my God, this looks amazing. If you look at 4K to 8K next to side by side to each other, then you'd be like, I could sort of see the difference.
And the fact that 8K hasn't really been like adopted by anybody, it's just this giant cycle. Well, nobody wants an 8K TV because nobody's producing 8K video content or 8K gaming content on consoles. But nobody's doing that because nobody's buying 8K.
Well, that's how it works. It's a ridiculous cycle. No one's buying 8K because no one's making 8K. But someone's got to take a risk. And you know what? I'm not taking the risk as a customer. You make the content, and if there's enough content, then I'll buy the 8K TV. If you don't make the 8K quality stuff, then I'm not going to buy your 8K stuff waiting for it to be made.
8K TVs, but nobody's buying 8K TVs because there's no fucking reason to buy an 8K TV. 4K is perfectly fine. And yes, I think it's good to keep striving for better, you know, like try to make better technology, make better products overall. But it's to a point where I think like them pushing forward and trying to make better products, better technology for these consoles is more so to just sell us a new console rather than...
Las Vegas Sphere is $16K. How much are tickets to go to that? To go watch inside the Sphere, how much are tickets?
Oh, we have an inherent need for new hardware. So what should really happen here? Because they're going to make a PlayStation 6, and you know, it really sucks because the only way I really see a path forward is the traditional console getting more stuff like what we got with the PS5 Pro, but more frequently throughout the generation. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying I want that, but this is what I think is going to end up happening because it ends up making more and more sense for a lot of these console manufacturers to just pretty much make their console basically a PC with a console user interface, because I'm sure it'll make things easier for developers to pretty much just make a PC build for their games. And then it's just like, oh, it'll work on the new Xbox, it'll work on the new PlayStation, and we can just slide the graphics up and down based on which model do you have. Do you have the PlayStation 6.1 or do you have the PlayStation 6.2? Well, the 0.2, you can, you know, it'll run a little better on that, and it'll look a little better on that, but it'll still run on the 6.1 because it might not work as well. But I think that's the future that we're heading towards. And it's not that, like, that would be absolutely awful or anything, but if we're going to start getting yearly revisions of these consoles, well, at that point, I think it would be nice if you could just swap out the hardware inside, kind of like a...
It's PC then. Why even go?
PC. But at that point, then, why the f*** do you have a console then?
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. If the consoles become PCs, then what's the point of buying a fucking console?
Just get a PC. But I think a setup where things can be scaled very easily does make sense because, you know, obviously Sony and Microsoft have seen how successful Nintendo has been with the Switch, how excited people are about the handheld PC market with the Steam Deck and whatnot. And Xbox already partnered with Asus to do the ROG Xbox Ally, which is basically like their version of a handheld. But the way Xbox does things, they're definitely just kind of going like, oh, we'll license our name for this, and there we go. We tried a handheld. Good for us. But in contrast, it's pretty obvious that Sony is going to take another whack at the handheld market and do something kind of along the lines of the Switch, or at least a new handheld that'll play.
Hell, their console might be like a Switch. The next console could be like a Switch.
Kind of the modern games, but at lower settings, or maybe it'll only play PS5 games and not the brand new PS6 games. But then again, like I said, the PS6 will probably have like 5-6 years of cross-gen releases. I don't know. But I think it makes logistical sense for the next gen to be kind of set up like that. And I'm only saying logistically based on what these companies are already trying to do. Because for me personally, while I see some benefits to this, I also feel like this kind of takes away a lot of like what makes gaming kind of special. When I was a kid, my console was like, this is like my thing. This is my toy. This is where I go for my fun times. And now, I don't know, it's just turning the fucking console market into just basically just the computer market or the smartphone market. And I'm not going to argue with that being like, well, that's not fun and I don't want that. I want my consoles to just be my consoles for 10 years. Like, I understand things need to evolve, but I just find a lot of things that are trying to be done with video games to just not work the best with how video games work overall. I don't know, because if we're just going to keep on making more powerful and powerful hardware, I don't think.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying, and we've talked about this before. Instead of just keep trying to make the better thing, why don't they just slow down and just make the best thing for the thing that they're making it for, instead of trying to never ever hit the potential of what the thing is, because they're constantly always trying to be the next thing. But while they're trying to get to the next thing, it still has to work on the lower thing. You know what I mean? So it's like these games come out and they try to push the envelope for the new system, but really they can't push the envelope because the envelope is still, it's more like an envelope, and the other system is still in the ballpark, right? So you still have to make for that last system, so which never gets into the full potential of what it could be. But they tell you the 8K and the 4K and the 120 frames per second to try to convince you on getting it, but they never get there because they never potentially ever push it to the envelope for that system.
I think any game is actually going to take some time and just stop to smell the roses and actually make the most out of a lot of pieces of hardware.
Yeah.
You look at what they were able to do with the PlayStation 3 near the end of its lifespan, and some late PS3 games, damn, man, I mean, they just look like low-resolution PS5 games sometimes. And that hardware debuted in 2006. And graphically, yeah, things keep on looking nicer, but the amount that we're able to see things improve, I mean, it's the law of diminishing returns. I mean, we've been at this point for years now where, like, how much better can things get? Yeah, if you compare certain things side by side, you can see, oh yeah, things have gotten better, but
there's diminishing returns.
in my opinion, are you really going to look at something like, let's say, Demon Souls, the Demon Souls remake on PS5, and you're going to go, wow, things have really improved on the PS5 since then? Like, no, that game still looks like it could have released this year, or next year, or the year after.
Again, I bring up Battlefront 2 all the time. How is Battlefront 2 an Xbox One, PlayStation 4 thing, and yet it looks better than 98% of all things that have come out on the new systems?
After that, or the year after that, and you'd still be like, damn, this is a good-looking game. So while you can keep pushing things forward, that doesn't mean you need to. But it's obvious these companies know that new hardware is exciting to some extent. So, I mean, even Microsoft is going like, guys, don't you worry, we're working on new hardware. And then everybody's going like, what the fuck are you talking about? You haven't even done shit with your current hardware. But then I'm like, oh, silly me. Time is just going by fast.
Right.
I'm getting older, so I don't realize how much we've truly gotten out of the Xbox Series X. Like, we would have gotten that Perfect Dark reboot, even though that was announced in 2020, and then we finally got gameplay like 4 years later, and then 5 years later they canceled it. But hey, the concept of that was cool. The promise was enough for me to buy the Xbox.
Right. And that is the point I've always said. Because of the things they told me about before, not that it was Perfect Dark for me, but like you told me about these games that are coming out and then they don't come out. been 6 years, right? Fable was announced when we were all on the last gen. And here we are. We're in going into the 6th year now, okay, of the system, and Fable's still not out. Grand Theft Auto came out on the 360 and the PlayStation 3, right? And here we are, 2 generations later, and we're still playing the same Grand Theft Auto 5.
And then there was Contraband, which was announced at E3 2021.
Yeah, but it's just not Xbox promises, Ray. It's all of them. The industry all does the exact same thing. It's not an Xbox thing. It's not a PlayStation thing. It's we're showing you these things, and they never happen. They lie to us. The reason you should buy the next system is because we have these games coming. And then these games are like, they don't look like what they look like when they showed us. They don't come out. They get canceled. So they make a promise to you, but yet nothing happens.
And then we saw nothing from that game. And then it got canceled in 2025.
Yeah, Microsoft cancels yet another. Yeah.
You can play Super Lucky's Tale from the Xbox One on your Xbox Series X. Who am I kidding? This is why I'm saying no to next gen. I don't want this generation to end because it's just that fucking awesome.
Crazy Chicken Shooter Edition.
I
mean, yeah, just they tell you about a bunch of stuff that they're going to come out with, and they never do. Krabby says these games are 12 months away in 2022. Those games are still yet to release in 2026. Yeah. Why, as a customer, should I listen to anything these guys say anymore? That's ridiculous. Let me bring his chat or his channel and put it into the. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. They tell you all these things and then they don't do any of them. Was it Scott's Stash? Yeah. Okay. There you go. Scott Stash, link in the description down below. Go give his channel. Check out the rest of his channel. Maybe if you like that video, maybe you'll like his other videos as well. Yeah, so when the next system comes out, it's gotta if I was a PlayStation, I had a whole bunch of games on my PlayStation, and the next PlayStation came out and said, hey, all these games from PlayStation 3 and 4 and 5 can be played on the PlayStation 6. Cool. Xbox says, hey, you can play your 360, your Xbox One, your this. Cool. Maybe at that point, I'm like, all right, I could play all my old stuff on the new system. Maybe I purchase it year 1, year 2. Okay. But if it does absolutely nothing, it takes 3 to 4 years to make a game, 5 to 6 really to make a really good one. You can wait till the last year of that console cycle and then start buying the games for it. All right. That's going to do it for me for the daily grind today. I do appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us. Go check out our video. Our video is doing pretty good. If you haven't seen it already, it's why MMOs are dying, or why I think they're dying. I don't think they're dying. Okay, I think they have people that used to play MMOs move to different genres, and I tell you why. Okay, I think also because the MMOs in general just not the same. So go check out that video. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, over on 30 and Still Gaming. We'll be playing some more Hytale with Altern and maybe Aku. We'll be playing more of that. Other than that, I appreciate it very much. You guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. If you guys want to help support the channel, you can also go listen to our music that we've put up on Spotify. Got a bunch of songs and stuff over there. Appreciate a lot more songs that I will be uploading soon. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
No pre-order, no day one, no full price for a half-ass game. No. Hot trailers in a matty life. Next gen promise, same old grind. 60, nah, now it's 70, but they want 100 broken lawns, but patches arrived. They one crash service dead. Give it time is what they said. Collector's box empty inside, just a receipt in corporate pride. We waited years, you shipped it rush, minimum effort, maximum trust. You lost the crowd, you lost the faith. We learned the hard way, never again. No pre-order, no day one, no full price for a half-ass game. Finish the work, earn the pay. We're not your beta test today. No pre-order, no day one, not again, not this time. Yeah, roadmap, promise the season pass. Cut the content, sell it bad. Day one DLC on the disc. Tell me how that makes sense. Review embargo, influencers paid. Best ever while it melts your frame. Refund window already closed, but the store page still says go. You call it loud, we call it broke. Ship it early, hope we cope. But gamers talk, receipts stay, and word travels faster than your PR. No pre-order, no day one, no full price for a half-ass game. Finish the work, earn the pay. We're not your beta test today. No pre-order, no day one. We're done paying just to wait. Oh, respect the player, not the stock. Stop chasing trends, start shipping rock. Quality first, then maybe we'll talk. Until then, while it's locked, yeah. No pre-order, no day one, nah. No full price